people out there that have different opinions that think that brown people are terrible to the country. Yeah. I guess you could make the case.
I guess you're not understanding.
I guess you can make the case it's subjective. I guess you can make that case. Okay. I mean, some people could say the Klan isn't racist. I guess that's subjective too. You could make the case.
That's not what subjective
You could make the case. I know what subjective means.
What does it mean?
I know what it means. I understand what it means.
What does it mean?
This is Sean.
I'm not sure that you do. So in terms of relativism and epistemology and ethics, what is that? What do you think that means?
Okay. I'll answer your question, but this is the Andrew Wilson approach.
This happened on the Digital Social Hour, and it's a moderated debate, which is funny because I thought Brian Shapiro was always like, who needs a moderator? We don't need a moderator. We could just do this. We could just debate. Well, look, he has a moderator. I think he likes, I forget the host. I don't know the moderator's name. I always forget it. But I think Sean Kelly, I guess his name is. I think he likes Sean Kelly as a moderator because Sean Kelly does absolutely nothing. He's like a mannequin. I think he thinks his job as a moderator is just to sit there. And so I think that's why he likes Sean Kelly as a moderator, because he doesn't intervene at all. He doesn't do anything. So that's probably why, like, oh yeah, that's the only moderator that I like, because he doesn't interrupt at all. Pauly Shortcuts for $4.99. Brian's stupidity incites violence, but it's entertaining to watch him lose his ish. Yes, it really does, Pauly. Thank you very much for the $4.99. This is the same man who did that superb job moderating Andrew and Greg. Yep, same one. Yep, same one. Just didn't do anything, just sat there. Might as well had a mannequin as a moderator. He does look like a mannequin, yeah. All right, so let's begin. So immediately at the beginning, okay, I'll just let you watch it.
We're live. Okay, guys, got another debate for y'all today. We got Brian Shapiro, Jay Dyer, both have been on the show. Thanks for coming, guys, in person. Let's make this thing happen. So we're going to talk about Trump today, Iran, and Alex Jones. I know, bro.
Trump, Iran, and Alex Jones. So, of course, Brian Shapiro wants to, he's like a one-trick pony. He only just wants to spurg about Trump. That's it. He has to spurg about Trump. That's why he got so upset at Andrew when Andrew's like, well, whose ethics are you judging it from? And he's like, what? Ethics? Huh? I just wanted to come here and spurg about Trump. That's all I know how to do. But I'm a great debater, guys. I've been doing this for 20 years.
Brian wanted to talk about Alex Jones, but
absolutely.
You want to lead this thing off with Alex, Brian?
All right. Well, first of all, thanks for being here, man. Nice to meet you. I've seen some of your stuff on social media. I'll be honest with you. What we do is probably a little different, right? As we were talking off the air, you debate. You've been doing this for like, what, 25 years, right? Long time. I've been doing radio for almost that long, but my show is more of like the last 24 hours, talking about news of the day and that sort of stuff. But all right, let's start. I wanted to start off by asking you about something, because I know you're friends with Alex Jones, right? And I know this is probably something where we'll get into it a little bit. But
bullshit.
Well, I come from Connecticut. I was raised in Connecticut, and obviously where the Sandy Hook shooting was. And I say to myself, and I've interviewed his ex-wife. That's kind of irrelevant to this conversation, and I've had private conversations with her. But I've also interviewed some of the parents who have lost their children, 8 and 9-year-olds that were decapitated. And Alex Jones made their pain worse. And I thought what he did was reprehensible. And then he used the excuse of psychosis, which I think is utter bullshit. He knew that shooting happened. He's not a stupid guy. And he only lied about it on the air with his huge platform and said that they were actors. You know what he said. And he only did that for clicks and money. And you're making the pain of parents, like I said, some of who I had to talk to and interview, and my heart goes out to them, and I'm sure yours does as well. And he called them actors, and he made their pain worse. And I find only a reprehensible, despicable human being would do what Alex Jones does. Now, he is a conspiracy theorist, and I understand he says a lot of batshit crazy stuff. But if you don't hurt somebody by doing that, then I don't have a problem with it. You could think 9/11 was an inside job, and you could, fine. If you're not hurting anybody, but he hurt those people who are already grieving the loss of their children. And I'm wondering how you could be friends with somebody who does that. I just...
So when I was listening to the beginning of this morning, and immediately before he went into the spiel, I predicted how this was going to begin. And I called it. When Brian said, oh, you've been doing this for 25 years, Jay, I stopped it and I was like, I'm pretty sure he's going to say, I've been a radio show host for 20 years. So, I've been doing a radio show host. I've hosted Don Lemon. I've had on Warren Smith. I've had on all these big stars. But I want to start off with Andrew Wilson. And my prediction was he was going to say Andrew. He was going to bring up Andrew Wilson and how Jay could be friends with Andrew Wilson. That's what was my prediction was. However, I was a little wrong. He said everything I thought he was going to say, but he did it with Alex Jones. And so pretty much literally from what I saw, because someone actually stamped it in the comments, this first segment here where he's bitching and complaining and grilling Jay about how he could be friends with Alex Jones and how conspiracy man bad. It goes on for 25 minutes. The first 25 minutes of this debate is spent on Brian just lecturing and grilling Jay about how could you be friends with someone like Alex Jones? How could you?
It's unbelievable to me that he would even do something like that and then blame it on psychosis.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could you square up and be friends with somebody like that? Because I don't know you. I've never hung out with you. I'm just asking, like, how can you be friends with somebody who did that? And are you willing to call that out?
Well, I think Alex himself has called that out. Alex has admitted that he made a huge mistake. I remember at the time when the trials were happening, one thing that I noticed in a lot of the examinations and the prosecution questioning was there seemed to be quite a bit of laxity when it came to vetting the guests, and that was hammered home with multiple people that produced the show. And the way that I'm sure the way that media works, especially for high-profile people, is that a lot of that is farmed out to people that work for you to vet the guests and whatnot. So I think there was some significant failures, mainly with vetting people like Wolfgang Halbig, people that ended up being, I think, probably con men. And Alex was lax in that. I think that was a huge mistake. I think that there is precedent not for what happened at Sandy Hook, but for the idea of government being involved in types of things like that, like the Operation Gladio, for example. That's a publicly declassified document.
I get that, but the government, as you know, wasn't involved in
I'm just
the
saying,
Sandy Hook.
So there's precedent for that.
I understand,
which is why Alex would have had in his mind legitimacy to question certain topics. So,
but why would you question that, though? Why would you question a school shooting hours after innocent children are killed?
Because if Operation Gladio includes public shootings at places like malls or perhaps even schools, there's no reason why you couldn't question.
But wouldn't you question it if there was some sort of evidence to prove, like the 2020 election? I mean, Trump still says it. I'm sure we can get into that, but it's like when listen, if people
so it's the same thing he did with Warren Smith. Remember Warren Smith? The big thing was, how could you be friends with Steven Crowder? How could you go on Steven's Crow? A man who was caught on camera abusing his wife, saying the most horrific things, who drugged his staff and all this other bullshit. And it's like, why are you grilling Warren Smith about Crowder? And now why are you grilling Jay about Alex Jones? Like, are Brian's friends? Are they all perfect? I'm sure Brian hangs out with nothing but the most perfect of people. They must have never done anything wrong. Brian himself must have never done anything wrong for him to be on his high horse and lecturing Jay and lecturing Warren about, how could you be friends with these people? How dare you? And by the way, what morality is he even getting this from? Nothing. Brian is the arbiter of morality. It's all by his preferences, okay? It's all about what he feels is bad, which Brian mentions throughout this, from what I've seen of this debate, he mentions that. He's like, well, I think he's a horrible person. I think that was a horrible thing to do. I feel. So it's just all about Brian's feelings and about how he feels on the subject. And then he judges you by if you're friends with that person, if you agree with this thing or disagree with this, if you voted for this person or didn't vote. Like, that's how he judges you, by how Brian feels about a certain topic.
People have ideas or opinions. They're entitled to that. That's fine. But like I said, I'm not someone who's trying to censor free speech. But at the same time, when you say things that can hurt people, I know you're not a fan of Candace Owens. Neither am I. Okay. We both would agree on that. I'm friends with Tim Pool. He said some things about her that I actually agree with. But to me, Alex Jones does what Candace Owens does, which is say things that you know are not true. Are not true. Alex Jones knew that innocent children.
And then look at him like Brian Shapiro. Again, all these people, they're mind readers. Alex Jones knew that these children were an actor, or this whole thing wasn't just a conspiracy. He knew about these children died and all this stuff. He knew. Like, oh, okay, Brian's a mind reader now. He could go inside the mind of Alex Jones and just know that Alex Jones knew this stuff. It's crazy. Postal Joe, thank you very much for the $5. How could you be friends with Don Lemon, who stormed a church terrorizing the children inside? Yes, exactly. That's the thing about Brian, that none of his friends or people he associates with are perfect. And you could just do it right back to him. Brian, how could you be friends with Don Lemon, who stormed a church, who was accused of sexually harassing, I believe, an employee at CNN or something? He harassed somebody. How could you be friends? How could you have on Destiny a man who is being sued by women for sharing videos of them without their permission, for engaging with a 17-year-old? How could you be friends with him? Like, you could just do it right back to Brian. And I'm waiting for someone to do it. Thank you very much, Postal Joe, for the $5.
Were murdered. He knew that those weren't actors. They're dead. And yet he went on the air and called them actors. Those family members, as you know, were threatened. They had threats to their life. He knew that those children were dead. He knew that those families were grieving. I have an issue not necessarily with conspiracy theorists, but conspiracy theorists like Candace Owens and like Alex Jones that say things knowing they're not true and knowing that they will hurt people.
They hurt people, yeah. Also, too, Alex Jones, that's an unfair comparison comparing him to Candace Owens. I believe Alex Jones has a much better track record of actually being correct than Candace Owens. Candace Owens does legitimately just make things up. I don't think has she been right about a single thing yet so far? Where Alex Jones has actually been proven correct on certain things. The frogs really were turning gay. That wasn't just some kind of conspiracy theory or something that was made up. Postal Joe for the $5. How can you live with yourself, Brian, after the way you treated Sarah Spector? Yeah. How could you live with yourself, Brian, when you've allegedly ripped off a woman for thousands and thousands of dollars, mistreated her, told her that you would buy her a firearm so that she could hopefully do herself in? Brian, how could you do that, Brian? How? See, we could just do it right back to him. Thank you very much, Postal Joe, for the $5, brother. That super chat goal already filling up quite nicely. Thank you guys very much. Keep it going. Abe Dinkus, good to see you, brother.
Alex Jones' comments at times, not just the Sandy Hook shooting, hurt people. And I find that only a despicable human being would profit off of something like that. I'm glad that he has to pay out that money. Like I said, I've had private conversations with his ex-wife. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not true. That's why I'm not going to share the conversations I had with her. Mm-hmm. But what I do know is I could never associate myself with somebody like that. Mm-hmm. It's good to have differences of opinions. We probably have a lot of different opinions on. I think that's great. Mm-hmm. That's what makes America great. But I think Alex Jones is a scumbag. And by the way, I met Alex Jones. He is a different person.
See, I think he is a scumbag. I think this is just all based on Brian Shapiro's morality, on who he thinks is a good or bad person.
Off the camera. He doesn't have, in my opinion, that persona or, hey, was that good? Was this good? I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's a good.
Was my impression good, Jay? What did you think about my Alex Jones impression, huh? Could you introduce me to Alex Jones? I'm chasing that cloud.
Person. And I'm not saying guilty by association. I'm not trying to make that argument, but I just can't fathom or understand how anybody could hang out with a guy like that who literally made
that would be guilt by association.
Well,
yeah.
I'm just trying to understand how anybody, not just you, but anybody would be okay associated. And you host on that network. Right. Like, I just don't understand.
Well, again, so that'd be like saying anybody involved in media who's involved with anybody that's made a mistake in media.
I don't think that's a mistake. You know what I think a mistake is, Jay?
But how do you prove that it's not
a mistake? Is locking your keys in your car. Yeah. You mean to tell me?
See, and then again, it goes back to what Brian thinks. You know what I think a mistake is, Jay? You know what I think it is? When you lock your keys in your car. What Alex Jones did wasn't a mistake. It was disgusting. It was horrible. Thank you very much, Kokomo, for the 15 Australian dollar dues. Hashtag believe all women except Sarah Spector. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The people who accuse Donald Trump, how dare you call them lying bitches? That's horrible. That's wrong. Sarah Spector, though, oh yeah, she's a lying bitch. Thank you very much, Kokomo, for the 15. Very much appreciated. Hell yeah, let's go.
That after this shooting happened, where body bags were taken out of that school, that Alex Jones legitimately believed that those 8 and 9-year-olds were actors. That's bullshit. I don't believe that.
No, I think that Alex legitimately believed that there was a variety of options that you could have.
He called them actors, Jay. He
No,
called
I
them
understand
actors.
that, but that's after having people on who were not properly vetted, like Wolfgang Halbig.
He has a lot of people
this-
on
I-
InfoWars that
I
have
actually-
zero credibility.
I actually agree that everybody who does media, for the most part, I'm not talking about you, Sean, to you, no, I'm just joking. Everybody in media has people on because it's media, right? Media is kind of like, it's about the numbers.
But it's our responsibility to push back at those people.
I agree that, and I think that my main criticism of Alex would have been, and still has been, there should have been a better vetting of the sources of these so-called events, because the main source at that time, because I was listening through the whole period, was Wolfgang Halbig, who said, I've worked in government, I worked in education, I was there, I know that this was a fraud, I went and investigated, and all that was not true. So he did not properly vet the source.
He blamed it on psychosis. There was no medical information to prove that.
Okay, that could be, you mean his?
Yeah.
That could have
He
been.
didn't provide any medical information that he had psychosis.
I mean, I don't know.
Bullshit.
I don't know Alex's legal teams,
well, he's lying.
That they
It wasn't
gave.
psychosis. You know that. Come on.
Again, I don't know what.
Like, I wonder if Brian, listen, like, obviously Brian brought these prompts to this debate, saying that this is what I want to debate. I want to debate Trump, Iran, and Alex Jones. Now, and Jay accepted it. Good on Jay. He didn't have to. He could have been like, why the fuck am I debating Alex Jones? But like, I wonder if Brian Shapiro would come to a debate. If I was like, hey, Brian, debate me. I want to debate why. I want to debate Destiny. I want to debate Don Lemon. I want to debate Sarah Spector. Do you think Brian would show up? Of course not. I don't think he would accept that grilling that he's going around giving all these other guys.
The legal team advised him.
They
to say in
didn't
this
show.
investigation.
Well, the legal team, if they're going to say he suffered from psychosis, there would have to be some evidence to prove that, which clearly they didn't show. It wasn't psychosis. And I guess this is maybe where we disagree. People like Alex Jones and Candace Owens and many others, Laura Loomer, I could name you a lot. They say things knowing that it will hurt people, and they don't.
They know. See, Brian, he's a mind reader. He knows their intentions. He knows why they're doing this. Okay. He knows that they're saying this to hurt people. Words hurt. Okay. Words hurt. That's why we need limits on the Second Amendment. All right. I mean, the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, because words hurt. And these people say these things knowing it's going to hurt people. By the way, when Brian sits here and calls Trump a kitty diddler and that he raped women and all of these things, I mean, that's hurtful to Trump, and that's also hurtful to Trump's base. Because listen, if you're going around saying that Trump did all these things and we voted for Trump, well, what does that say about us? You could say that you're inciting violence, and that hurts us, Brian. When you spread lies like Trump was bragging about going into the teen dressing room, the teen pageant dressing room, you're hurting Trump and you're hurting us. Words hurt, Brian. How dare you? How could you do that? How could you support yourself when you do that, huh?
Fucking care. They say things knowing that it'll hurt people, knowing that it's probably not true. By the way, I don't buy the fact that Alex didn't think it was.
Yeah, I heard about that in the chat right now, that Alex Jones went on Tim Pool and was like really drunk. I don't know much else about it, but I hope he's okay, and I hope he's doing well. Usually when someone gets that wasted and has a public meltdown like that, or crash out, I should say, it's usually they're not in a good place. So I hope Alex Jones gets help he needs.
The real shooting. He knew it was. Like I said, Alex is not a stupid guy. He knew that there were innocent young children that died, and he called them actors. Now, regardless of what all their
real quick, video gamer. That's why sometimes I think Brian Shapiro is an actual like a character. Like he's like a Borat type character where he plays the role of a leftist, because he says the same things every time. It's almost as if it's a character, All right, I got to make sure I part of my character is I deny being a leftist and I call myself an independent, even though I'm clearly not. I'm Trump deranged, so I gotta hate on Trump every time. And then I have to brag about myself and all the celebrities I know. It seems like these are like a character he built up. And then his name's Brian Shapiro, right? BS. There's a conspiracy there that this is probably all a character by Brian Shapiro. In reality, he's actually a normal guy. He has a great family, and he's just doing this to try to make a living, There's no way any person could be like Brian Shapiro and be a real person.
Stuff might have been going on in his mind. He made a lot of money off that. Now, in the end, it's going to cost him money. I don't think we should be allowed to say things like that with no justification, and it hurts people. Those families had death threats. They had death threats, right. Jay, and they hadn't even buried their kids yet. 8 and 9-year-olds. Yeah. And as you can see, I get visibly angry talking about this guy because I think he's a horrible human being. And I think his entire network is a fucking joke. It's a bunch of tinfoil hat morons who spread conspiracy theories about COVID. They spread conspiracy theories about the deep state. They spread conspiracy theories about the 2020 election. And the guy who runs the whole thing spread conspiracy theories about a shooting where a bunch of 8 and 9-year-old kids were murdered, were kept in. I mean, I don't even think the guy should be allowed to even have a show. That's my personal opinion.
Could you name another crazy temple hat that the position that you think me or Alex or anybody has positive?
I can't speak to you because I'll be honest with you, and I don't mean this
Well, you
as
said
like
the whole network is all crazy.
well, I mean the regulars. I would assume you're a guest on that.
Wow. Is Brian generalizing people? By the way, Brian lectures Jay later on. I don't generalize a group of people. Then meanwhile, he goes on to generalize a group of people at least twice during this debate.
There are a lot, and sometimes I'm talking about the regulars who do shows, 5 days a week. They spread conspiracy theories about me. Harrison talked about me. Didn't even, and we talked about this off the air a couple minutes ago. Didn't even know my position on vaccines. And I don't want to get too deep into the vaccine stuff because, some platforms don't allow it. Didn't even know my position on the vaccines and just assumed that I want everyone to get 10 boosters. They say things about people not doing their homework, not under even, and by the way, I said I would go on their show. I was talking to somebody from their network. I said, listen, I will go on that show and I will defend my positions. Harrison didn't want me on. I call that a coward. If you're willing to talk shit about somebody, which is fine, I'm a big boy, I can handle it. But then you don't want that person to come on. I invite anybody on my show. Nick Fuentes can do my show if he wants to. I think he's an awful human being. But I would have had O.J. Simpson do my show. It's not the criticism. He's no longer with us, unfortunately, or fortunately, whichever way you look at it.
Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. Brian, how could you say a man who murdered his wife and her friend, how dare a man who murdered 2 people, who was a domestic abuser, Brian, how could you sit there and say, unfortunately, he is no longer with us? Tell us, Brian. In my personal opinion, I think O.J. Simpson's scum. So therefore, how could you support that, Brian? How?
I'm willing to have anybody on my show that I disagree with, even if they're despicable people. If Alex Jones wanted to do my show, I would probably be a little bit more heated with him than I am you, because I'm not blaming you for the stuff that Alex Jones said.
But what's another topic that you think Alex has spread?
COVID. I think he spread lies about the vaccines. He sells his stupid pills on his website to make money. That there's no evidence that any of those pills actually help you if you had COVID. I would talk about 9/11 a little bit more because I know he's talked about 9/11 a lot.
What about 9/11?
Well, he thinks it was an inside job.
Right.
By the way, real quick, going back to something he said earlier about, they're a coward. They won't have me on their show. I think Brian does a lot of this for clout. And by the end of this, you'll see why I think that. Because listen, this first part is him lecturing about Alex Jones. But at the end, he tells Jay, by the way, say hi to Alex for me. Say hi to Alex, huh? And it's clear that he wants to go on Alex's show. That's what he does. I think he's trying to fail his way upward, but he gets there by insulting people higher than him, and he does it all for clout. And he wouldn't want to debate anyone with lesser clout than him because he's wasting his time. I think the only reason why he gave Rob any time of day is because Rob is friends with Andrew. But that's it. Brian doesn't talk with anyone lower than him other than his callers, and that's only because he has the power to mute.
Right.
I do too.
Okay. Well, we can get into that. We can get into that.
So what's the crazy part, though? Where's the crazy
part? He talks about the deep state all the time with no evidence to back up his claims about the deep state. What is the deep state? Tell me.
It's the breakaway national security apparatus in the background that has a tremendous amount of influence installed at the time of World War II, particularly from people
right now,
in the Council on Foreign Relations. It's the same structure.
Okay,
CFR,
so right now, who is running the deep state?
CFR and Trilateral Commission have a huge amount of influence. This is a CFR historian's own background accounts, or in her.
Yeah, don't bother showing that, Jay, to Brian. Brian doesn't like reading books. He's not even going to bother to read Rachel's book for their debate. He's just going to go there, spurg about Trump, spurg about Andrew. That's what that's about. So don't even bother. It's not like Brian's going to pick up this book. Brian doesn't like to read.
This is what we're lecturing through on my channel right now. So yeah, so that would be
I've heard Alex,
corporation, military industrial complex. That's the deep state.
So I've heard Alex say that Barack Obama was really running the country when Joe Biden was president. There's no evidence to back that
Well,
up.
you meant the stay behind situation that Obama had set up in
Okay, but
DC.
he said the Obamas
office.
had gay relationships and that Barack Obama was gay. This is not a serious
Well, but
guy.
you do talk radio, you make jokes, you do satire. Alex does
Yeah.
satire all the time.
Okay, well, when I hear Alex Jones say that he believed, first of all, I don't think that's funny. That's 10-year-old humor.
See, I don't think it's funny. So that's why it's wrong, because Brian doesn't think it's funny. It's all about what Brian thinks is right and wrong and what's funny and what's not funny. That's all it is. Brian's morality is Brian.
I don't think there's anything funny in saying a president is gay. I don't think that, I mean, unless we're 10 years old.
Well, what about faking gay?
You
Is
think,
that funny?
I mean, okay, but you get what I'm saying, right?
Well, you just laugh, so you do think it's funny.
Well, here's the problem, right? Alex Jones has a huge platform. And I think it's important for people to choose their words.
Oh, yeah, I agree. The whole Michelle Obama's a dude thing is pretty hilarious. In my morality, I think that's funny. You know, I know Brian's morality, he doesn't, but I think it's funny.
Wisely, and to be responsible.
Mhm.
We agree, I think,
Mhm.
that Alex Jones should not have done what he did when it came to the Sandy Hook
Mhm.
shooting. It hurt people.
Mhm.
Now, if you make a joke that doesn't hurt somebody,
Mhm.
okay, fine. If you have a conspiracy theory that doesn't necessarily hurt somebody, then that's one thing, right? But when you have the platform that Alex Jones,
How do you measure that? How do you measure how it hurts, though? Like, what's the measurement? Their feelings, like how much they cry about it, how much it emotionally distresses them. Like, how does it hurt people, Brian? That's the thing. You're just claiming it hurts people. And this joke hurts people. This joke doesn't hurt people. And the ones that hurt people are just so happens to be the jokes that Brian doesn't like. And the ones that don't hurt people happens to be the one that Brian does like. By the way, we're only 12 minutes in. This is a 2-hour and 24-minute debate. We're only 12 minutes in. And already the Brian Shapiro fatigue is setting in.
has, and you say things that are unproven stuff that is just blatantly ridiculous. They said things about me that aren't true. I have a problem with that. And I don't think that network is a serious network. I don't think that is a serious news network. It's one thing if you give Kanye West a platform. Heck, I would interview Kanye West and ask him about his anti-Semitism.
By the way, Jay, do you know Kanye West? Oh, you don't? Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Anyway, if anyone out there does know Kanye, I would love to have him on my show. So please tell him Bryce Shapp's looking for him.
But Alex Jones, he was praising Adolf Hitler, and Alex Jones is sitting there with his thumb up his ass.
No,
I watched that whole interview.
He specifically disagreed with him and said that he didn't believe Hitler was a good guy. But the very next day, Richard Grove and I hosted that next day and talked about that we did not agree with the Hitlerian perspective.
Okay, it's one thing to say you don't agree with it, and I'm glad you did that. But if someone sitting next to me is praising Adolf Hitler, I would call them for what they are. You are an anti-Semite and you are a moron. If you praise a man who's responsible for murdering anybody, let alone millions of people, there's something wrong with you. And I would say that to Kanye. I wouldn't sit here and say, well, you know, Kanye, I really disagree with you on that. I saw that. Right. I don't respect people who praise evil, murderous dictators. Right. That's what Alex Jones did in that interview. Okay, he coddled Kanye.
Alex didn't praise
Hitler.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah. Oh, Brian, why are you spreading those lies? Brian, don't you know that could hurt Alex Jones if you spread the lie? And I think you're doing that, Brian, because you know it's going to hurt Alex Jones. You know it. I could read your mind. Okay, your newsboy cap. All right, can't protect you from my mind reading powers. I know you did that because you want to hurt Alex. Okay, don't be spreading those lies. In all seriousness, though, I remember that whole thing, and I remember Alex Jones when Kanye was going off. Alex Jones looked kind of uncomfortable. It's the first time that Alex Jones was actually speechless. He was at loss for words. He was like, I don't know what to do. But yeah, he did not agree with what Kanye was saying. So how does Brian get off and just saying, oh yeah, Alex Jones completely agreed, and then even go as far as to say he also praised Hitler? It's like, come on, Brian. Words are hurtful, don't you know?
He praised Kanye West in some ways, and he was very satire. He coddled him. He coddled him. It was a fluffer interview, and I think we also have a responsibility to question people and to be tough on people that praise murderous dictators. Alex Jones did not do that. So on one side of the coin, Kanye West will sit there and praise Adolf Hitler, and he'll say, "Well, I disagree with that." But on the other side of the coin, he'll just.
Didn't Destiny say that Corey Comprentor, the man who got shot and killed at the Trump rally during Donald Trump's attempted assassination. Didn't Destiny say that he deserved it because he was at the Trump rally? Didn't he say that? Brian, how could you have on a man that would say something that I think is despicable? I think that's horrible and despicable that he would say something like that. How could you have on a man on your show and promote him and praise him when he says despicable things like that?
Bash Democrats and left wingers and AOC and attack her for being a bartender. He's more tough on somebody like AOC than somebody like Kanye West, who praises Adolf Hitler and is a Jew hater. Make no mistake about it. Kanye is a Jew hater, anti-Semitic piece of scum. I don't care whether he's mentally ill or not. And these groypers that go around, I just think they're really bad people.
Right. But so
See?
a lot of this
See how it's constantly just, I think, I feel, my opinion. See, that's all this is. It's just Brian lecturing and grilling Jay Dyer on his feelings and what he thinks is moral, what he thinks is immoral, what's funny, what's not funny, who he thinks is bad, who he thinks it's good. It's ridiculous.
so far has been about the character of people. So, and I'm not,
Well, you're friends
I'm not
with him.
believing that. Okay, but
Well,
I mean,
you're
you
friends
just
with
said
him.
at the beginning that you weren't interested in guilt by association, but
Yeah.
it
Maybe
seems to be your whole course.
I'm
which is
trying
guilt
to
by
understand
association.
why you would be friends with somebody like that, who I think has no moral compass.
But what I'm illustrating is that nobody consistently can apply that in media, because I'm sure you have friends that you disagree with that you might find reprehensible, or that you've gone on shows.
thank
that
you.
you disagree with.
I don't have any.
So you don't have any.
I don't have any friends
no
that
moral
are.
qualms with Piers Morgan. You go on Piers Morgan's show.
Yeah.
Has he
I'm
done
not-
anything?
I don't hang out with Piers Morgan. He's not one of my friends. I do his show.
Oh,
There's a
okay.
difference.
So
Oh, okay. So there's the difference. So now the goalpost has been moved. It's like, okay, well, I don't hang out with Piers. I'm just a guest on his show. Oh, okay. So that's how it works, huh?
I don't have
so
any
now
friends.
it's so it's
I don't
it's
have
guilt
any-
by. So it is guilt by.
I mean, Warren Smith, I don't think hangs out with Steven Crowder, right? Are they good buddies? Are they good friends? Warren Smith just went on Crowder's show. And the first thing Brian attacks Warren's show is, how could you could you be friends with Steven Crowder? How could you go on his show? As far as I know, I don't think Warren Smith and Steven Crowder are like best buddies or anything. Warren Smith was a guest on his show. So again, it's okay when Brian does it. According to Brian's morality, it's good when he does it. That's it.
Well, you're friends with him.
So
I'm
that's
not friends with
So
Piers.
that is guilt by association, which you said you're not trying to
I'm
do.
trying to understand why you would be
So
friends
you
with
are
somebody
doing
like
guilt
that.
by association.
I'm asking you a question. Why?
implying
How?
that it's morally wrong.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to
What I'm saying is-
understand how morally.
Right.
I'm glad that, man, I wish Jay would have like stuck on it. Like, I'm glad he finally was like putting it back on him. Like, someone needs to put it back on him, because now Brian's starting to sweat. Now he's trying to reword it. Well, I'm trying to understand how someone could associate with him.
You could associate yourself
And I'm trying to understand the ethics
as a
there.
friend, not
Right.
just for doing a show.
The morals are what? Like, what's the?
I think
Because I don't think
people-
it's consistently applied.
I think people that associate themselves with people like Alice Jones are the same people that associate themselves with Donald Trump.
Mm.
I think it's
so
the
guilt
same.
by association.
I think it's same.
Yeah.
Well, I think
This
it's-
whole course has been guilt by association,
Well-
which you said at the beginning you're not going to do.
Well, what I was hoping to do is try to get an explanation from you on how you could be friends with somebody like that. I find that in general, and I'm going to make a general statement now. People that are
You're generalizing people now, Brian? I thought that was bad, though. I thought when you generalized a group of people, that's bad. But at the end of this debate, Brian starts to like grill Jay about how he could generalize all women, like a group of women in general, and how they shouldn't be holding political office and political positions and such. How could he generalize groups of people like that? How dare he? He criticized Warren Smith. That was another thing that the moral arbiter of Brian grilled someone about. Warren Smith, how could he generalize group of people because they sag their pants? How can he do that? Brian Shapiro, I am more morally superior than you. I don't do that. Yet here he is about to generalize a group of people.
big fans of Alex Jones or friends of Alex Jones tend to also be big fans of Donald Trump.
Mhm.
And they
Dude, TDS off the charts. TDS off the charts. So now it's guilty by association if you voted or support Donald Trump, who is that is like, if Brian Shapiro is the moral arbiter here, if he is God here, Donald Trump is his Satan, pretty much.
Bro, they're willing to push aside the Epstein stuff. They're willing to push aside his behaviors, the way he talks about women and Gold Star families and POWs, and the fact that he's named thousands of times in the Epstein files. I think the same kinds of people who support Donald Trump are gravitated towards Alex Jones. Yes, I'll say it again. I think Donald Trump and Alex Jones are similar. I think they're both horrible human beings.
Yeah.
They're horrible human beings who probably only care about themselves. And,
So that's fascinating. Brian said that, actually, because I've noticed that a lot of people, and I was going to talk about this yesterday, but I got sidetracked and we ran out of time. We're breaking down the orange man bad argument, the TDS. So what I've noticed, I've noticed these things because Brian says it. Circa said it during his debate with Andrew. And I believe during my discussion with Pisco when I won in history months ago, he said a similar thing. Like, all these people seem to have these similar things where they believe Donald Trump is this super selfish, narcissistic, horrible person. Things that you can't really determine. Like, everyone's selfish to an extent. But they seem to think Donald Trump, everything that he does is just to serve Donald Trump. That's, at the end of the day, why it's bad when Trump does it, but good, or at least okay, when someone else does it. So if Donald Trump does something, it's bad. Why is it bad? Because he's a selfish, horrible human being. He only thinks about himself. He's a super narcissist. He lacks empathy. He only does it for himself. That's why no matter what Trump does, whether it's a good act or a bad act, it's bad. Donald Trump could literally donate $500 million to children's orphanages, right? And you could bring that up to a leftist. That's still not good enough. Why? Because what they will say is, well, Donald Trump is clearly only doing that so that people like him and that he looks good. In other words, another self-serving, selfish argument that Donald Trump only does this so he looks good. It's not because he cares about children or anything. It's because he just wants to look good and he wants people to praise him. So even if he does something great like that, it's still bad. And when he does something that's bad, well, then it's actually bad. And then when you point out, well, this politician did the same thing, that's why it's different. Because that politician is not selfish. They're not self-serving. They actually do things for multiple reasons. So therefore, that's why it's not bad when they do it. It's different when Trump does it. So it's very fascinating here. And so keep in mind that pattern. When you see someone debating someone that has TDS or Orange Man bad, pay attention to that. Listen out for that. If they go into a personal, well, I think Donald Trump is a selfish person. I think he's just a bad person, like a selfish, narcissistic, self-serving, all of those things. I think that's the root of why this TDS is bad. That's my theory anyway. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a psychologist, but that's just what I've noticed from watching these debates, that there is a pattern of people being mind readers. And I have anecdotal evidence myself of people that I know who do that, where it's like they're mind readers. They know that Trump is just a super selfish person. That's why everything he does is bad, because at the end of the day, it's just all about him serving himself. Keith, thank you very much for the $5. Dude brags about having RFK Jr. on whose check notes in the Trump administration. Yeah. So by his logic, he's one of the bad guys he's talking about. Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. Thank you very much, Keith, for the $5. Very much appreciated, brother.
But again, I think this is what usually ends up being something not worth debating. I'm not saying you can't bring it up, you debate whatever you want, but the idea of only focusing on the morals of some individual in media or in politics, to me, just seems absurd. That's why I'm always an issues guy, because I'm sure that
we can talk about issues.
I'm sure that everybody has some moral flaw or some problem in their ethos.
I would never deny that. I would never deny what you're saying.
So then it's not consistently applied. So it would seem
There are
like,
different levels
it would
of
seem like,
mistakes
okay,
that
how
are
do we
made.
know the levels here? Because it seems like you're doing the very thing that you're saying shouldn't be done.
No, so there are different levels of mistakes that are made, whether you cheat on your
Well,
wife or.
Well, who determines that?
Okay, well, I'm just giving you my opinions. There's no book on determining. I'm just telling you, simply put, if you're a person who intentionally lies about a school shooting when children are murdered to make money and clicks, you're a fucking disgusting human being.
But how do you know a person's motive?
Yeah,
Maybe you do.
exactly.
Because Alex Jones does it all the time. He says
How
things.
do you know the motive?
He's over the top, and he says
But
things.
how do you know the motives?
So you think Alex Jones didn't have? What do you think his?
Now he can't answer it because that's you can't know that. Again, unless Brian's a mind reader, he can't know that. So let's see if he attempts to answer this very good question here.
I'm
motive is
saying
when he
that
says things
I'm
like that.
saying that when you debate,
Mhm.
and again, you can debate whatever you want, but my critique of this type of debate is that when you debate people's motives is something that you can never really explicitly prove.
Why did you think Alex Jones? Give me an educated guess, Jay, if you can. Why do you think Alex Jones said those things?
I believe that Alex has always, for the most part, been sincere. That's why he has been willing to change his mind and admit he was wrong. For example, he recently admitted he was wrong that he thought Trump might reverse the course on Iran.
Let's talk about
he
that.
He admits that he was completely wrong.
I do
about
want to
that.
talk to you about that.
Well, I'm
we're
just saying
probably going to agree on that.
That's
but-
a recent
okay.
admission that Alex said. I was wrong about this.
Okay, good.
So-
So let me ask you something about that because I disagree with you respectfully. If Alex Jones wasn't sued, do you think Alex Jones would have apologized?
Well, the lawsuit, as I said, highlighted the bad vetting. If you look, for example, at the prosecute where they were.
No, Jay, I understand.
And by the way, so by the way, why? Okay, so if Jay and Alex are such good friends as Brian thinks they are, why wouldn't he take Jay's word about how Alex is? Brian doesn't know Alex Jones. All right, so again, what makes his opinion on Alex better than Jay Dyer's? It's the same thing. Like, how does he know what Trump's thinking? Does Brian Shapiro hang out with Donald Trump? Like, no, he just assumes that the person is bad because they're bad. None of us know like Donald Trump in person or anything. We don't know his motives. We could assume things, sure, but like we don't at the end really know. Yet Brian acts. He may say, well, I don't really know, but he acts like he really knows. He sits there with such 100% confidence and certainty that the reason Alex Jones does this is because he wants to hurt people. That's what he claimed. But how does he know that? He's not a mind reader.
Let me finish the question. Let me finish answering. The when they were interrogating Owen Schroyer, and Owen was responsible for bringing on a couple people that not just Wolfgang, but also the Zero Hedge article that they highlighted that was misinformation. So that was not properly vetted. And I'm saying that if you've got a network that has multiple people doing multiple cogs of the operation, you can't. I understand that the head of the operation is going to receive the brunt of the criticism, but it's not like Alex was just doing all of this without sincere investigation. I believe he's sincere.
Okay, so I that's where we disagree.
That's where we disagree. Brian Shapiro, my morality, Alex Jones is a bad person. He does things because he's bad. He's bad because he's bad, Jay. Sorry, you lose once again. 20-year debate pro radio show host, had on tin pole, Warren Smith, Don Lemon. That's why I'm better, Jay. Thank you very much, Bandit, for the $2. Brian, look into this mirror, and what do you see? Yes. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who has the most TDS of them all? That is you, Brian. You're damn right. Donald Trump, 34-count felon. Don't you forget it, mirror. I don't, Brian. You tell me that every single day. Thank you very much, Bandit, for the $2. And also, thank you very much, Video Gamer, for the $2. First-time donator. Hello, Vic. Keep up the good work. Thank you very much, Video Gamer. I appreciate it. Thank you for checking me out. And also, buck around and find out $2. Brian Dip Shapiro. Yes, exactly. Thank you very much. Buck around and find out. Very much appreciated. Only 5 more left to complete that dono goal.
And I would go as far as to say this. I believe that if Alex Jones wasn't sued and he didn't have to face consequences for his things, he would never have apologized or retracted anything because he never has in the past, to my knowledge, for anything else. The reason why he apologized and says, I shouldn't have said that, which, by the way, he said in a courtroom, and then he said it was a kangaroo court, and he had...
So because Brian just assumes Alex Jones bad, he assumes that deep down, Alex Jones is this terrible person who just wants to hurt people. That's why, even though Alex Jones apologized, he attributes it to, well, that's because he got sued. You know, it couldn't have been. Alex Jones might be a decent human being and maybe genuinely felt bad for doing that. No, he just automatically assumes, no. It must be because he got sued and he was forced. Otherwise, if he didn't get sued, he would have never apologized. And so he knows that because he knows what's going on in Alex Jones's brain. And when you think that the person's bad because they're bad, well, anything they do, you know, if it's good or if it's bad, it's just all bad.
Attack the judge and he attacked the prosecutors instead of just being a man and saying, you know what, I really fucked up. I really shouldn't have said that stuff. What happened to those families was awful. Instead, he does what Donald Trump does. It's a kangaroo court. I didn't do anything wrong. So no, I disagree with you, Jay. I don't think Alex Jones would have ever.
Yeah, I agree, Postal Joe. Yeah, shit, Jay is calling me out. Change subject to Trump. Yeah, I agree. I kind of hate that he was able to wiggle out of that. Caleb, for the $2, hit that like and get the donos in. Hell yeah. Thank you very much, Caleb. Very much appreciated. And Video Gamer for $5. $5 more. Here you go, bro. Your Discord community is awesome. Fun chats with them. Hell yeah. Thank you very much, Video Gamer. And by the way, if you want to join the Cool Kids Club, all Ks, join the Discord. Link is down in the description. It is free to join.
Retracted what he said. And I don't think Alex Jones would have ever apologized if, in fact, he was never facing a civil lawsuit, which he lost. That's my personal opinion.
This is
we can move on to Iran
because there's no way to prove that or know that.
Well, that's just my personal opinion. Right. Obviously, there's no way to 100% prove it other than the fact that, to my knowledge, I don't think Alex has ever apologized for anything else on the air in the past. The only thing I could ever recall that he's ever apologized for or retracted was the comments he made about the school shooting and those kids being actors.
Yeah, and he recently retracted his position on Iran. He thought Trump would have a better course and a course correction, and he was wrong about that. He was wrong about the thing that was going around where Pam Bondi was saying that they were going to release the files. He thought that was a legitimate.
He has been open about criticism for the Epstein files because he's been talking about the Epstein files for years. And I think Donald Trump has made a lot of people like the Alex Jones type look really bad because Donald Trump has protected pedophiles, in my opinion.
Well, Alex.
Yeah. So now, in my opinion, so again, it's all about Brian's opinion. It's all about how he feels about it. And so, yeah, again, so Alex Jones, he criticized the Epstein things because it makes him look bad. Okay. So again, even if Alex Jones does something good or contrary, it's because it's for bad reasons.
Was called that out.
I know that. That's what I just said. Yeah, I'm happy. I agree with you on that.
So that would refute your claim that he never says
he's angry. Yeah. Well, he's upset at Donald Trump. It's not really that he was wrong about something. He's upset
wrong about what Pam Bondi said like 2 months ago.
Well,
so
he's criticized at times the Trump administration for the Epstein files.
He doesn't give the apology that you want, basically.
It's not really the apology that I want. It's basically, it wasn't really an apology. He just basically, when it comes to the Epstein stuff, he's talked about how disappointed he was. He was wrong about Pam Bondi. He was wrong about Pam Bondi, and he thought Pam Bondi.
No, he said specifically that the claim that they were going to release more of the files, that when Pam Bondi claimed this, he shared that, and then a bunch of people on social media called him out. He said, "You know what? You're right. I was wrong." So I'm just saying he will admit.
Okay. Well, I'm glad he did that. I was unaware of that, and I'm glad he did that. And we could end the Alex Jones conversation, but in closing, I'll just say this and.
So now that Brian's getting proved wrong, he's like, all right, it's time to pivot off of this. Now let's get on to what I really want to talk about. Trump and Iran. Thank you very much, Rocking Red Reaper, for the $5. Brian and the left in general has the issue of not allowing grace to their opponents and their motives. That's why their opponents are demonized always. Yep, exactly, 100%. Thank you very much, Rocking Red Reaper, for the $5. Only 2 more to go. And Kokomo said earlier that if that Super Chat goal gets filled up, he will give some memberships. So thank you very much, Kokomo. Let's get that Super Chat goal filled. Hey, good to see you, Crystal Strange. I just don't like how the apology made me feel. Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's nothing that I've never
said.
I have
a closing statement.
Yeah, I'll let it
That's fair, of course. I think Alex Jones is what's horrible with society. I think there are grifters, the Candace Owens types. I put Alex Jones in that category. I think he only says things as an act to get clicks and to make money. What he did was disgusting, and then the reason why this topic is it should be personal to anybody, but it's even more personal to me because I grew up about 20 minutes away from Sandy Hook, number one. Number two, I've interviewed some of those families who have to wake up every day without seeing their kids. It's reprehensible, and the fact that somebody like Alex Jones, and this is irrefutable, made their grief even worse with what Alex Jones put those families through is reprehensible. And I think only a reprehensible and repugnant human being would do what Alex Jones did. I have zero respect for him. I don't care how many followers he has. I have no more respect for him than I do like a Candace Owens type. And I know we'll probably agree on Candace Owens. There is a way to have differences of opinions, and there is a way to have a conversation without hurting people. And there are too many people, particularly in right-wing media today, that do that. They make claims that hurt people. They lie. They attack.
Well, is he generalizing again? Is he generalizing again, Brian? I thought that was bad. I thought Brian, on your moral high horse, did not do that. I thought you were better than that, Brian. I thought you were better than us bigots, us closed-minded, ignorant bigots that just stereotype all these groups of people. I thought you were better than us, Brian. How dare you?
Undocumented immigrants and brown people every single day, making it seem like all these undocumented immigrants are going to rape your kids. They're wrong. They lied about the terrorist attack in New Orleans. They said it was undocumented immigrant. They said it was because of Joe Biden's open border policies. They lied. They lied in conspiracy theories about what happened to Paul Pelosi when Paul Pelosi was attacked with a hammer. And Alex Jones was one of those guys that spread the conspiracy theory that Paul Pelosi had some sort of gay relationship with the guy that almost killed him with a hammer. Did Alex Jones ever apologize for that when the police report came out? And Matt Gaetz, when he was in office, another repugnant piece of garbage, and Ted Cruz spread those conspiracy theories. These right-wingers don't apologize usually. I'm glad that Alex Jones has done that, but there's a lot of people on the right that don't. They don't retract. They don't apologize. When you get something wrong, why don't you wait until the information comes out first before you spread conspiracy theories? I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general terms, people on the right. And that's one of my biggest criticisms with the Laura Loomers of the world and so many others. It's all about clicks, Jay. It's about money and clicks. They don't care whether they get it right or not. I'm generalizing. There's a lot of people on the right on X. They want to be the first one to say it was an undocumented immigrant. It was a black person. It was this without knowing. And then when they get it wrong, they don't retract and they don't apologize. And I'm sorry if I'm going on a rant here, but on X, when you look at when they're fact checked, what is that called on the bottom?
Yeah, the fact checking.
Yeah.
Community note.
Yeah. What is the point of a community note? If somebody is getting a community note like 200 times, there are right wingers out there that have been community noted 200 times. They're not suspended. Their accounts don't get taken down.
So like Jay just sitting there, just listening to the Spurg. All this guy does is Spurg. Brian Spurg-Piro.
Why are we community noting people when they literally, it happens to them every day? So anyway, I digress. Go ahead.
Yeah. Again, I think, so much of media ends up being a lot of low-tier slop and debating about things that are not really that substantial, such as people's motives or intentionality, which is unless you have, somebody's actual DMs or something like that, it's really difficult, I think, to know the motives. And so in philosophy and debate, we don't typically focus on that. Understand that in media and in news, it probably is the best, but I would assume that maybe you engage in debating about who's good and who's bad, because that's the easy low tier route to go to get attention and to get clicks. I mean, aren't you interested in getting clicks?
I don't think it's low tier.
I love the little the slight digs at Brian Shapiro, like calling it low tier to do that. I mean, it is, but he's calling it low tier, just taking these little jabs at Brian. I love it.
To debate, but it is to debate people's motives, because it's called ad hominem in philosophy, right?
I don't think it's low tier to talk
ad hominem. What the hell are you talking about?
About our president and his behavior.
Well, we're talking about Alex Jones,
right.
You're saying it's bad.
Brian low tier Shapiro. Yeah, dude. Yeah, and yet he's failing his way upward though, Brian Shapiro. But yeah, absolute low tier Shapiro.
Motives, and I'm saying that works in low tier political debate, but like if you get into a philosophical debate and you debate people's motives, that's called ad hominem, because unless you have proof that there's bad motives, you don't know people's motives other than to say that, well, he's a bad person. Okay. So he's a bad person. What does that prove?
I don't think it's low tier to criticize Alex Jones for what he did.
But you said that you know his motives, and I'm just trying to figure out how you know that.
Well, first of all, I think most people would say the reason why Alex Jones says these things.
And like I said, Jay actually knows Alex Jones, or he's one of the hosts or whatever, and Brian doesn't. So why wouldn't Jay know Alex better than Brian over here? Like, why wouldn't he know him better? What makes Brian think that he knows Alex Jones and his motives better than Jay?
Is because he wants to
Well, that
make
would be
money
another
and get
fallacy.
more attention.
The fact that most people think that really has nothing to do
Okay,
with
well,
proving it.
that's I think
appeal to
I would
to-
like to think that
Yeah.
a logical opinion would be that the reason why
Well, if you're
Alex
going to be logical,
Jones.
you can't do fallacies.
Okay,
That's a
well,
fallacy.
if you think that Alex Jones does this stuff,
I mean,
he says
do you
this
think
stuff,
appeal to masses is a fallacy?
no, but I would
It
say
is.
I would say
You don't think it's a fallacy?
perhaps, but the point that I would
Listen, all right, I'm low tier, okay? I don't know what fallacies are, all right? When I say here fallacy, I think of phallus, all right? Huh, phallus? Phallus like all those Trump mushroom gobblers, huh? They like to lick his phallus, huh? Is that what you're talking about, Jay? Because that's what I hear, okay? I don't know what you're talking about, your fancy words like fallacies and ad hominem and all this other bullshit, okay? I'm just here to spurg about Trump. But don't call me low tier because I don't think it is. By the way, Video Gamer for the $5, Brian's consistently says that people on the right are either mushroom gobbler or on their knee pads constantly. Isn't Mr. Bry a homophobe? Yeah, exactly. He's Mr. How dare you make these homophobic jokes? Meanwhile, it's okay when I do it because I am the moral arbiter. Thank you very much, Video Gamer, for all your support. Let's go.
was trying to get at is that just Alex Jones says these things not because he needs to get this off his chest or he wants to be an
Again,
entertaining
so
guy.
you're just saying what his motives are.
Okay,
which-
well, what do you think his motives are? Then
Again,
help me understand Alex Jones. You're friends with him.
I've listened to Alex since 2003.
Yeah.
And I've noticed him consistently over the years reference many texts that we lecture through on my channel. So it's become a mainstay of what I do is to kind of take all of those books that he references over the years to check to see if he's legit and if he's saying the right things. And most of what he says, I would say 90% of what Alex has said over the years has been accurate in terms of the big geopolitical perspective. There are minutiae areas where I would disagree, particularly with who he brought on during that time period of Sandy Hook that was not properly vetted. But when it comes to the big geopolitical stuff, most of the time I disagree. But there's been areas where I disagree with Alex over Trump. So I don't have a problem disagreeing with Alex, but I don't think that Alex is ultimately overall a bad person. I've met him, known him, personally for many years. So
Okay. I mean,
we have
I
to
base
disagree
that on
that.
some other things that I'm not going to talk about here on the show, but people that have known him very closer than you even. But we can leave it at that. I know this entire debate isn't.
Yeah, let's move
You
on.
didn't want to talk
Alright,
about it. But if
You
you want
wanna-
to talk about Iran, I'm happy
Let's
to do
dive into
that.
Iran.
Yeah,
Even though you
happy
both
to.
agree, maybe there's some slight
Well,
I won't be
differences.
taking Alex Jones out to dinner tonight. I guess that's what I was trying to say. Go ahead, Sean.
Jay, you want to start off with Iran and how you feel about the U.S. getting involved? How you feel like Trump's done with that relationship?
Yeah, so this is an issue that I've dealt with for many years. I've had a lot of debates publicly with Muslims for about 8 years straight. We've debated most of the top Muslims. I think maybe Junior is a future Muslim debate that we're going to do. So I'm very familiar with like the background of Sunni versus Shia Islam. I'm decently educated on the history of Iran.
Yeah, that's all good, Jay. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, Iran, whatever, history. But isn't Trump bad for taking us to Iran? He is a president that promised no new wars. And now here we are. We bombed a school children, Jay. We bombed schoolgirls. Okay. How could you support a man like Donald Trump who promised us no new wars, but now we're bombing Iran and we're in a war with Iran, Jay? Okay. Enough with your intellectual history and all that bullshit. Okay. I'm just here to spurg about Trump, but I'm not low tier.
And I think the big issue with Iran is that this is really just a repeat of 1953 with the CIA coup, where they took out, Mossadegh to put the Shah in. Then you had the Shah failing, and you had Ayatollah Khashoggi being brought in with British intelligence and CIA assistance, all ultimately for Anglo-Iranian Oil Company, which would become BP. So I think that from the very beginning, this was a destabilization, a regime change that was brought about for the purpose of a big corporate interest in Iran. I think it's really not that different today. If we fast forward to where we are now, it's a lot of repeat of what we saw with Iraq, which was, false intel, weapons of mass destruction, which was not true. Saddam was brought into power by the CIA, trained by the CIA. He's given weapons of mass destruction originally.
Yawn, Jay. Yawn. Can we get to the part where I could say Orange Man bad, Jay? Come on, speed it up.
By the CIA to fight the Iran-Iraq war. And then when we decided that he had spoiled milk, then we didn't need Saddam anymore. And I've never been pro-war all the way back to 9/11. I've been anti-war pretty much because I think most of the wars are fought for interests not in the best purview of the American people. They're fought for corporate and banking interests for the most part. I'm not a pacifist. I believe in self-defense. But so the same situation with Iran, I think that we've seen the administration all the way back to Obama with the Green Revolution. They were pushing for a kind of more democratic NED style color revolution back in 2009, 10, 11. But now what we have is a situation where Trump has just greenlit under
here we go.
influence from
Here we go. Yes, the part about Trump. There we go. Now I could listen again.
Bibi Netanyahu to go for a full on just taking them out. And go back 30 years. I think we were playing the clips yesterday on Hodge Twins where Bibi is like saying they're 2 weeks away from a nuclear bomb, and then like every few years it's the same 2 weeks, and it's like so it's like 2 weeks to flatten the Iran.
Well, be careful there, Jay. Let's not get anti-Semitic. All right, I'm a Jew. Okay, so just stay off the anti-Semitism. All right, don't bring up Israel. Okay, let's just talk about Trump, please.
And was my joke on Twitter, not making jokes about, but I mean, the same situation where it's 2 weeks flatten the curve, but then it's going to turn into protracted war. This is different than Syria. Syria, it took 15 years to take down Assad, to install by CIA and Western support a very radical Sunni regime under Giuliani. That's something that was mentioned in the Clean Break memo. It's something that goes back to Oded Yunan's strategy. So I think that all of those are a disaster for the West and for America. They basically only benefit the Greater Israel Project, and I disagree with all that.
It pains me to say I agree with a lot of what you just said. Not much of a debate there, but I will say this. When Donald Trump was running for office again, said he was going to be the peace president.
Dude,
peace candidate.
Did I fucking call it? I fucking knew it. I fucking knew it. I knew he wasn't going to pay attention to anything Jay fucking said. I knew he was just going to go straight for Trump, but Trump said no new wars when we voted. I fucking knew it. This guy is so predictable. We need the Brian Shapiro bingo cards.
Have war again, nothing to worry about. Probably the best.
That's true. He said that, and he said there were, he's going to be a new regime president and all that. Tulsi Gabbard testified 10 months ago under oath that there was no reason to believe, based on our own intelligence, that they were furthering their nuclear capabilities.
Correct.
We were told 8 months ago, obliterated, I believe is the word. Obliterated. I'm sorry. Obliterated. I always get that mixed up. Obliterated their nuclear capabilities. Then we heard it was regime change. And then when they figured it out, well, wait, we're going to have boots on the ground if there's regime change. Then they said, well, these civilians need to rise up. What the hell does that mean? Then Marco Rubio, in some terminology, was blaming Israel. And I agree, by the way, with a lot of the stuff you said about Benjamin. I'm a Jewish guy. It's not anti-Semitic to be critical of the Israeli government. I've maintained that position. I am very anti-Israeli government. I am very pro-Israeli people. I think they're great people, but I'm anti-Benjamin Netanyahu, who plays Donald Trump like a fiddle. Then we were told by Marco Rubio that Israel, forced our hand. Then we have this school bombing. And Donald Trump, it was a Tomahawk missile. Iran doesn't have Tomahawk missiles. Everybody knows that. And he blames Iran. Does he even know that they don't have Tomahawk missiles? It's this guy is such a madman, and he's such an imbecile. And Pete Hegseth is. They don't take responsibility. We're told this is the party of protecting children. And now we're told, well, this was about the Marines and this was about attacking the ships. I agree with what you said about Iraq. That was an ill-advised war. Thousands of American soldiers died. Hundreds of thousands of innocent Iraqis died. Trillions of dollars that we're still paying off. How is this any different? Are you disappointed? You voted for Trump. I know you're not defending this war, which I appreciate. Are you disappointed in your vote? Kamala Harris would not have started. You could have your criticisms of Kamala, and that's fine. And we can get into that. I'm not saying she was perfect. She would not have started a war in Iran. I do not believe this war would have happened.
How do you know that, Jay?
It's similar to,
Brian, how do you know that? Again, Brian just knows these things. He just knows. Under Kamala, we would not have gotten into this war at all. It's only under Trump because Orange Man bad.
Obama campaigned upon. We saw Obama campaigning as a peace candidate back in the day. We saw him then reversing with the drone strikes that he was involved in.
Oh, wait, hold on, Jay. Hold on. All right. I thought this was going to be about Trump and the current Iran war. Why are you pivoting to Obama? Listen, I didn't vote for Obama. Okay. I didn't support Obama. I agree he wasn't perfect, but come on. Orange Man bad, Jay. You're getting off track here. All right. I thought we're going to actually have come to some agreements here.
So I didn't have high hopes for politics to be anything other than what it usually is. I was involved in, promoting Ron Paul back in 2007 and 2008, Rand Paul campaign. And I saw back then the way that Ron Paul was sort of sidelined and kind of kept out of the political discourse. And so my vote for Trump was mainly based on a lot of the policies that he supported, which are kind of older 90s centrist Democrat type
America
policies.
first, though.
No, it's not centrist. I'm a centrist, Jay. Okay, and I don't agree with Trump, so you're wrong there.
Right, Jay?
Sure.
You think it's some of these policies are America first?
No, I'm saying what he campaigned on.
Okay.
And I'm
so
saying
he campaigns on a lot of things that he lies about. We're going to build a wall and Mexico's going to pay for it.
I'm saying that I disagree with the main areas. That my main issues are that I can think of with Trump. I think Warp Speed was a huge failure. I think that was a mistake. I think he did that probably at the behest of a lot of pharmaceutical and corporate interests. That's my opinion on that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it was a mistake to talk a lot about the Federal Reserve, but not really to go after the Federal Reserve. I think that's a huge problem for the country, for the economics, and then also to promote the war for Israel's benefit. Really, those are the main things off the top of my head that I can think of with Trump.
Those are big things.
Well, I mean, those are my main.
Those are pretty important things, don't you think?
I'm not a Trump apologist, but I'm an issues person. What I'm saying is that since 2007, I was really disaffected with mainline party politics.
What about rolling out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin in Alaska? What about no concessions? What about the fact that Russia is giving intel to Iran right now, and Trump, they just don't seem to want to talk about that. They've had pleasant conversations in the last week. Yeah. Rolling out the red carpet, he blamed Vladimir Zelensky, called him a dictator, and he blamed Ukraine for the war. Let me tell you something. If Iran had invaded Israel, I might feel a little differently about this war.
Well, here's where we disagree, right? No, I would be anti-Ukraine for sure.
Who started the war in Ukraine?
NATO.
That's not true.
It is true.
Vladimir, who invaded?
All the way back to 2012,
Ukraine?
NATO was provoking Russia, and they did not keep to the agreements during the Cold War about not expanding. NATO
Jay, who
expanded.
invaded Ukraine?
Again,
who started
NATO
the violence
provoked Russia to invade.
Okay, I didn't ask you who provoked. Who invaded?
Well, it matters.
Who invaded?
Also, didn't Joe Biden say, "Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, listen, Russia could invade as long as they take that pipeline." I believe there was a pipeline, right? It was something where Russia wanted access to, and Biden was like, "Yeah, sure, it's fine. It'll be fine as long as that's all they do. That's fine." So Joe Biden himself even condoned it as well.
Ukraine,
Russia was provoked.
Who started the violence?
Ukraine. Who put the biolabs all around Russia?
I could provoke somebody to murder.
Who put the biolabs
Okay,
all
but hold
around
on.
Russia?
I could provoke somebody
to
murder.
This is geopolitics. It's false analogy.
Okay, I can provoke somebody to murder somebody, but I'm not asking you who provoked. I'm asking you who committed the crime.
Who put the biolabs all around Russia as a offensive provocation?
Nobody forced Vladimir Putin
to
invade Ukraine.
I know, Pauly Shortcuts. I was going to say Nordstrom's pipeline. What? Hey, speaking of TDS, good old Audrey, the TDS spot is here. Let's see her TDS fact of the day.
You got TDS. You got TDS. You got TDS. Orange man.
In today's TDS fact of the day, the stock market is having another really bad week. The Dow is down to 46,000, which is lower than it was at the start of the year. Oh no! I guess I must regret my vote for Trump now, guys. This is it. This is the deal breaker.
Seek help. You got TDS.
Thank you very much, Audrey, the TDS spot, for dropping in. Good to see you as always.
It is a forcing.
I disagree with you.
Well, again, that Ukraine is actually historically Russia anyway. And it was only Ukraine after Lenin and after World War I.
Okay, so Jay.
So it's not even a real country.
Ukraine didn't start this war.
It's a country that was created by the West and by communists to sever that center of power from Russia.
I understand what you're saying.
History.
I understand. But Ukraine did not start the war. They did not start the war. I
disagree.
Okay, well.
I think that NATO and the West provoked the war so that then they could say
so you think Zelensky is a dictator?
In many ways, he acts like a dictator with persecuting.
So Zelensky
persecutes Orthodox Church and shuts it down.
So Zelensky started the war, and he's a dictator.
Yeah, and also too, Zelensky was forcing, literally taking men off the street to fight the war for them. There's the video evidence of vans just taking men off the street so that way they could go fight in the war.
You agree with Donald Trump?
He didn't start the war.
Well, Donald Trump said that. Was he lying?
He also didn't. Donald Trump said he also didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning.
He may be speaking about for political reasons. He didn't start the war. I think NATO started the war again.
Don't you think it's kind of important if you're the president of the United States to not lie about?
I have no problem criticizing Trump, but I will defend the fact that I don't think that Russia started the
Okay,
war.
well,
NATO provoked the war.
I can tell you this
Has
war.
NATO expanded since the Cold War?
Well, no, but I
Have
can
they?
tell you
Yes, they have.
well, hold on a second. Let me just go back.
They've
to
been putting bases and biolabs. That came out.
Okay.
The Pentagon admitted yesterday there's
Right.
biolabs in Ukraine.
But that still doesn't defend. It's not a defense for Vladimir
It's a
Putin invading
provocation.
Ukraine.
It's a provocation.
Okay, so do you
If
think we
people,
should?
if let's say people, if they started coming into your property and they were
Oh yeah, and then also too, didn't he cancel the elections too for that year? I think the same year the war started, like he canceled all the elections and such.
saying, oh, well, you don't have a right to, react because, we're not actually causing you to react. We're just coming on your property.
So do
Then
you
you
think
would
it's
react.
appropriate for an evil, murderous dictator, which is who Vladimir Putin is? I would hope that we could at least, even though we disagree on this, you would agree with me that Vladimir Putin doesn't have a regard for human life. He kills journalists in his own country that disagree with him. If you talk about Vladimir Putin on the phone, there have been instances where you're massacred. He's an evil dictator. Can we at least agree on that?
All heads of state operate in a similar way. The U.S. assassinates people all the time. So
Can you tell me
probably-
where the U.S.
Let me
assassinated
finish
a
so a
journalist?
lot. Oh yeah, all the time. Udo Ulfkotte is
Okay,
a famous,
I'm unfamiliar with
famous
that.
journalist who was assassinated
Okay.
in
Well, of
Germany.
course.
Talking about the CIA infiltrating and using German media for Western purposes.
Okay.
And so, whether or not Putin himself had the journalist assassinated, I don't know. But I wouldn't be surprised because a lot of journalists are actually also undercover as spies. So.
If anybody listened to my show for 30 seconds, if I was talking about Vladimir Putin that way in Russia, I would be murdered. In the United States of America, even though Donald Trump is trying to take away our First Amendment rights to criticize him, he does it all the time. He calls people like me vermin and the enemy within. We still have the right in this country.
I always like how they go, oh, Donald Trump called us this. Yeah, well, how about like Joe Biden calling MAGA supporters extremists, huh? They always seem to gloss over that. Video Gamer for $2. Have another one, brother. Hope to chat with you on Discord. Yeah, for real, man. See you in the Discord. Like I said, if you guys also want to join the Cool Kids Club Discord, all Ks, join the link in the description. Click the link in the description down below. It's free to join.
To our First Amendment
Thank you very much, Video Gamer, for all your support. Very much appreciated.
to criticize politicians and the president in Russia. You will be.
Yeah, that's another good thing I was going to address. Yeah, they always claim he's trying to take away our free speech. How has he done that? He's been he already served one term as president. He's now on his second year of his second term. We still have all of our First Amendment rights. How has he taken away our First Amendment rights? Like what are you talking about? They're just saying shit now. The Democrats did more to take away our free speech rights when they were pressuring social media companies not to allow certain information on their platforms. That's doing more to take away people's free speech than anything Donald Trump's doing.
Murdered if you do that. That's what makes him a dictator. That's part of what makes him a dictator. And the point I was trying to make was that Donald Trump has, and I'm not saying you're a Trump apologist, but Donald Trump has rolled out the red carpet for an evil dictator on American soil. To this day, no Russian sanctions. In fact, they've blamed Ukraine. Now, I know I guess we disagree on what's going on in Ukraine, but Donald Trump's foreign policy is a joke. The world is laughing at us right now when it comes to tariffs, the $175 billion that he stole from the American people. And now we were told we were going to get tariff checks. And now it's turned into, well, you can sue us if you'd like to. I can go policy by policy with you. ICE. I agree that, because I'm sure this is a topic that you talk about a lot, which is immigration. I am pro border security. I want people to come to this country legally. However, I don't want people that have been in this country for decades, that pay taxes, that have families here, sent to an El Salvador prison. That's happened. Not everybody was nonviolent, but the majority of those people, I think it was over 60% of the people that they sent to an El Salvador prison were non-violent criminals. I don't want people murdered in the streets. What happened in Minneapolis is a travesty. What happened to Renee Good and Alex.
So now Brian's getting into his groove now, his TDS groove, where he just gets to spurg about Trump. By the way, guys, I see we have almost 400 people watching in YouTube. Thank you to everyone who's viewing. Please click that like button, guys. There's a lot of gays in the chat. Click that like button or you're gay. I don't make the rules.
Freddie, is repugnant. It's terrible. And then you had Kristi Noem, who is no longer there now, who called them domestic terrorists hours after these shootings without a full investigation. And by the way, the evidence proves it. That's why they took that Bovino asshole out of Minneapolis and they, took out 2,000 or 3,000 troops. Listen, violent criminals, 90% of the country, Democrats and Republicans agree. If you're a violent criminal and you're undocumented, deported. Absolutely, I'm on board with that. But I have a serious problem with a party that says, come on into our country, just do it the right way, do it legally. We don't care what the color of your skin is, which is the party that has made it more difficult for people to become legal citizens. In some cases, it takes 10 or 15 years for people to be naturalized. The Democrat Party has tried to come up with a way to make it easier for people to get a pathway to citizenship. And meanwhile, Republicans make it more difficult. Let's make it easier for people.
How do we make it more difficult if we're just enforcing the laws? Did Republicans extend the naturalization process? Or are they just trying to keep it the same? Where, as you just admitted, Brian, Democrats are trying to make it easier. No, we shouldn't make it easier for people to just come to this country. People aren't entitled to be U.S. citizens, okay? It's not a human right around the world that they could come here and just become citizens. And so we should have to make it easier for them. No one's entitled to be here. No one's entitled to come here and just become a citizen. We should absolutely make it difficult, okay? That's how you know the people who are here and do it the right way really want to be here and really respect this country. Okay. Are you more what am I looking for? Are you more likely to respect this country more if you have to put in more work to come here? Or are you less likely to respect this country if it's easier to get in here? It goes with anything. Thank you very much, Perry Incorporated, for the 10. Hey, Vic, been getting into your content somewhat recently. For normal politics, you and Rob are a top tier. Well, thank you very much, Perry. I appreciate that. To be compared to Rob, that's a compliment. Thank you very much, brother. And thank you very much for the 10. Very much appreciated.
Want them to be vetted, but let's make it a little bit easier for people to become citizens, and let's give them some more incentives. And if you happen to be undocumented and you're non-violent criminal, which I think is important, then you have to pay a penalty, but let's come up with something that works for the American people. I don't think separating families and murdering people on the streets is good policy, and that's what the Trump administration has done.
I would actually just say we don't need immigration really at all. I think we have enough human resource and capital here in the West, in America, that we don't actually need the replacement of the indigenous people, and that's kind of a war crime in my view. This is a known strategy. You can read Kelly Greenhill's book. She's like...
Yeah, Jay. You know, I don't like to read. Did you see Schumer said he would oppose the SAVE Act because it would allow ICE to remove voters from the ballots? Bros, yeah. And didn't he say it would remove like billions of people or something? Millions or billions of people? It's like, what an interesting thing to say. Interesting. Huh? Why would you say something like that? Huh?
She writes for Cornell University, I think. Weapons of mass migration. So this is a known geopolitical strategy technique to change the people groups. Specifically with Europe, you have the Kalergi plan. I read Kudnov-Kalergi. It's real. His book, Practical Idealism, discusses this explicitly. That plan was adopted by the Royal Society to change the demographics of the European Union. And then we have the same situation like in America, where you have the flooding of the country with all kinds of third world people to change the demographics, not just for political reasons, but I think ultimately for long-term socialist international reasons.
So we can give a history lesson on immigration and we can talk about the past. But what I'm talking about right now is the future and where this country is at right now. Will you agree with me that the shootings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy were horrible?
Brian is low tier. He is low tier. Like, Jay's trying to have this intellectual conversation with them. He's bringing up history and, oh yeah, it said in this book here, this book. Like, Jay is here bringing out all these points and facts and such. And then Brian is just here like, yeah, but Orange Man bad, Jay. Don't you think it was bad when Renee Good and Alex Preddy were shot? Don't you think it was bad when Trump did this in Iran? And Jay's just like, oh shit. You know, like Jay is just, it's like talking to a child, you know, like Jay, here he is, he thinks he's talking to a full-grown adult, but really it's like he's talking to someone with an intellect of a child. And I actually think a child would probably have a better conversation with Jay than Brian. Thank you very much, Postal Joe, for the $2. Jay, my feelings don't care about your facts. Exactly. Thank you very much, Postal Joe. Very much appreciated. You know, yeah, Ben Shapiro coined the term facts don't care about your feelings. And now we have Brian Shapiro with feelings don't care about your facts.
Weren't handled properly. And we had a woman in Chicago who was shot 5 times, almost died. And everybody in ICE, including Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, Stephen Miller, everybody based on text messages were praising this guy for shooting this woman 5 times. They claimed that Miss Martinez was trying to impeding an investigation. And then all of a sudden, when the body camera footage came out, it said the total opposite and they retracted the charges. Did anybody apologize? No. Are those officers still out there? Yes. That's wrong. Can we agree that that's wrong?
I mean, and I don't doubt that in some of these situations you have absolutely horrible mistakes like that. I would probably agree with that. And I don't know the specifics of those cases because I'm more focused on the bigger geopolitical.
But you watched. But
you're saying, right? You're saying, oh, we don't need a history lesson. I actually do need a history lesson because what I'm talking about is truth, and there's a longer, broader strategy.
So you don't want immigrants in here at all?
We don't need any more. No.
So you want to just close the borders?
You actually do need
everybody.
a history lesson.
Sure.
That's funny. You actually do need a history lesson, Brian. You actually need a lesson on a lot of things. You seem to just, the only history you seem to know is just anything involving Donald Trump. You know, there was history before Donald Trump became president. You know that, Shapiro.
Okay. Well, obviously I disagree with you on that.
Okay, but that's fine. But the reason that I'm saying that is because there is a real long-term socialist strategy to change the demographics of the entire West. And these documents point to that. It goes all the way to
what does it matter to you where someone comes from? What does it matter if
think people's heritage and tradition makes sense? All the people who come here,
how does that affect
all
you?
the people that come here certainly believe that. So
what does it matter where somebody was from, so long as, or the color of their skin?
For example,
so long
if
they
have Sunni Islamic beliefs, it matters quite a bit.
Okay, but if they're
Brian, if there was a country full of us right-winger conspiracy theorists, like just a whole country full of us, just a bunch of right-wing conspiracy theorists that spread lies because we like to hurt people and things of that nature, and we wanted to come to America, would you want us to come to America or would you want us to stay out? Pretty sure Brian would be like, oh, no, those people need to stay out. But the black and the browns, they need to come in.
Not breaking the law and they're decent people and they're family people. Why does it affect?
It's way more complex than that because, for example, in Islam, they have the idea and the belief that you pretend to be amenable and affable to the society that you're going into. And then over time, when you gain power, then you overthrow them. That's in the Quran.
Okay. Well,
so that's one example.
Do you have friends that are Islam descent?
That are Muslim?
Yeah. Do you have any friends?
Do I have any friends? No.
Yeah.
No, Brian.
No, that's not what I know you have friends.
I mean,
I didn't.
So now it's do you have any Muslim friends? It's like, oh, geez, Brian. Like, who cares? Like, that. What does that have to do with Jay's point?
Interacted with all of the top Muslims for 8 years.
But do you interaction is one thing, but like, do you spend time with people of Muslim faith?
Not really.
Ever? Okay. So I have, and I didn't say you didn't have friends. I was I misspoke.
That was a joke.
That's fine. But I can tell you that I know a lot of people that are Muslim that live in this country, maybe a couple dozen, and they're good people. They're nice people. They're family people. Not every month.
I don't believe these stupid fucking libs whenever they say that shit. Every time there's like a group of minorities that's being attacked, whether it be illegals or Muslims or something, all these motherfuckers go on TV or on the live streams or whatever and say, I'm friends with a bunch of these people. All of them are great people. All of them. Not a single one. It's like, that's all they do. And it's like, I don't fucking believe you. They're all great people. Isn't that generalizing? Even if it's in a positive way, you're generalizing a bunch of people that they're good. That's just the opposite of what the people who think that they're mostly bad think. Like, you're just doing the opposite, but you're just doing it in a positive way.
Muslim wants harm on America. Not every Muslim is a terrorist, but there are people on the right that do. Laura Loomer thinks that all Muslims should be deported. She is despicable. She is a racist. Now, I disagree with you on the fact that you don't want any immigrants in this country at all. But I will say this. Every single time Donald Trump says, make America great again, it always meant to me, make America white again. That's what I believe many in his base believe.
That's what I believe.
Racist?
Yes. Yes.
But you're saying racism is wrong.
Absolutely, it's wrong. And I'm saying his slogan, and a lot of people that abide by his slogan, want America to be white.
Yeah. After the president of the NAACP talks to Warren, he's going to get a Muslim to talk to Jay. Wouldn't surprise me. Jay, I'm going to get you on my show. I'm going to get one of my Muslim friends to come on here, and you guys can have a discussion about Islam and maybe enlighten you, maybe teach you that they're not all bad people, Jay. Keith, thank you very much for the $2. But cool, you forgot Brian can read kinds. Can read kinds. I don't know what that is, but I'm sure you'll autocorrect it in your next message. Thank you very much, Keith, for the $2. Very much appreciated. All Muslims should be deported. Now what, Brian? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, send them and their donkey carts back to their country.
And I don't know if
But
that's
you just said what's wrong with the people.
Oh,
coming here
I
having-
don't
mine.
see anything.
Yes, thank you very much, Kokomo. Yes, I'm pretty sure that's what Keith meant was mines. Mines. Aha. Good job, guys. Mines. Thank you very much, Keith.
Wrong with people
no.
from
What's wrong with them having their heritage and their tradition? Right.
Well, it depends specifically what you're talking about. But if they're not breaking the law, then let them believe in what they
Then
believe.
what's
Who cares?
wrong with people who are white having their heritage and their tradition if they're not breaking the law?
Okay, I don't have a problem with that either.
Okay.
But what you're saying to me is you don't want
But is
any
that
immigrants in this
racist?
country.
Sure.
Okay,
But I mean,
think that's
does
wrong.
Japan
By the way, all immigrants, by the way, that's not just black and brown. Does he think the rest of the world is just black and brown people? That applies to anyone that's not from this country. Okay, that's all immigrants.
have to take in third world people?
first of all,
Do
what
they?
makes
Do they have to?
that's a different country. I'm talking about the United States. What
Well,
makes America?
Is this a universal principle?
No, I believe the United
What?
States.
So it's
of-
not universal.
The United States of America was
So it's
founded.
particular just to America.
Well, we live in the United States, so I'm going to speak on what I want here in the country.
So it
that I
only
live in.
applies to people in America
In
that
a
are white.
perfect-
It doesn't apply to
in a-
other countries.
in a perfect-
so it's relative.
In a perfect world,
It's arbitrary.
in a perfect
Is it
world,
arbitrary?
I'm answering you. In a perfect world, I would love the entire world to operate in a state of live where you want to live,
Mhm.
have the religion that you want, and I don't want people to be judged based on religion or
So
singular.
Japan should take third
In
world
a
migrants.
perfect world,
Should they?
in a perfect world, I would want
Well,
every
you want to
government.
talk about this world, so should they in this world?
Yeah, I think everybody
Every
across.
country should take in immigrants
I think in
at untold amounts,
Uh,
infinity.
as long as you're vetted properly. Okay.
They must take in infinity, brother.
Well, I mean, listen. I come from a different cloth, I guess, and in my personal opinion, I don't care what you look like. I don't care what the color of your skin is.
Unless you're white
I
in
don't
America.
care.
Yeah.
No, you're not letting me finish. No, it has nothing to do with that.
So it's a double standard.
No, it's not a double standard. You're not hearing me out.
Okay.
I don't care where you're from.
Mhm.
You could be white. You could be black. I don't care. You could be as 100% white like me. I want everyone to have the same opportunities
Mhm.
as long as you're vetted properly. Yes, I do want border security. I want people to be vetted.
Yeah, the vetting that Brian wants is just, oh, okay, hey, do you have a family? Are you going to work hard? And are you a good person? Yeah, see. All right, there you in. Here's your citizenship, guys. Come right on in. That's the only vetting that Brian Shapiro and all these libs want. We should ask them the next time they claim that. It's like, what kind of vetting do you want? If you claim to be for border security and you think that our security is too stringent, well, what kind of security do you want? Because they've never had to clarify on that. They never had to elaborate, at least from what I've seen. So I'd be interested to see what their answer is. Like, what do you think it is? Should you just ask them, hey, do you promise to be a good person and to work hard and contribute to this country? Oh, see. All right. Well, here you go. Come right on in. Like, that's what it comes off to me. Like, that's what they want.
But the fundamental difference here is I don't care where you're from as long as you don't have
Right.
bad intentions.
That's great that you don't care about that, but that wasn't the question. The question was about the ethics of an entire country taking in massive amounts of other third world migrants. That was the question.
First of all, it's dependent upon, are they coming in the right way? It's dependent upon, are they properly vetted? It's dependent upon where are they going to go? Are they going to be able to provide something to the United States,
Mhm.
tools and skills that they have? That's part of the vetting process. So as long as you're doing that properly and we don't have bad people, which I don't want.
Mhm.
I don't want bad people coming here. I don't want people that want to do harm to America. I don't want rapists or child molesters or, quite frankly, people that you support like Donald Trump. I don't want people like that in this country. And if they're properly, I'm being serious though. I know it's funny, but I'm being serious. I don't want people like Donald Trump here, orange people like Donald Trump, who are 34 count felon, liable sexual abusers, people that you support like Donald Trump, who's named thousands of times in the Epstein files. I don't want people like that in this country. I don't care what the color of their skin is, like you. I don't care what country they're from. I don't want people in this country like Donald Trump. And I can give you multiple reasons why. You voted for a 34 count felon. You voted for a liable sexual abuser. Why are you so worried about people from other countries coming here when the guy who you support, the president of the United States?
Yeah, we got the felon count. Yep, it was only a matter of time. Mark that off on your Brian bingo cards. We got the 34 count felon. It was only a matter of time. By the way, thank you very much, Keith, for the $2. Brian vetting, is Orange Man bad? Yeah, exactly. Just, hey guys, is Orange Man bad? Oh, see. All right, well, step right on in. Welcome to our country. Yeah, make sure to do all the stuff you're supposed to do. But thank you very much, Keith, for the $2. Very much appreciated. But it's funny, like, he doesn't genuinize, but he's like, I don't want Donald Trump. He just doesn't want Donald. So he's just okay with deporting Donald Trump. That's it. Yeah, deport Donald Trump, and that's it. Yeah, and then you can disband ICE and just let everyone else in here. What an idiot, dude. This fucking guy. And he's serious. Again, this is why I'm like, is he Brian Shapiro a serious person? This has to be a character. BS. He has the same talking points every time. He's just the stereotypical TDS Spurg. This has to be some kind of character. This has to be. He can't be real. Just deport Trump. Okay. God, this guy.
It's like a fallacy machine.
No, it's not a fallacy machine. It's logic.
Fallacy machine. Dude, I bet. I love it when Jay calls out the fallacies. That's like one of my favorite things Jay does, when he calls out all the fallacies. One of my favorite moments was in a debate on Tim Pool's show when he was like, you just said 5 fallacies in a row. He was like so like serious, like, you just said 5 fallacies in a row. Just thought that was great. But yeah, Brian Shapiro, complete fallacy machine and a phallus machine.
Well, you don't actually know what fallacies are because you demonstrated that earlier.
Okay.
You don't know what appeal to masses was.
I know what someone who is a threat to this country looks like, and I know what someone who is not. An immigrant
threat to this country is not a fallacy, though, Brian.
But you think that massive amounts of people should be able to come into the country, so I don't think you actually have a good assessment of what threats are.
I don't think you have a good assessment.
Your situation would allow for the complete disintegration of the
country. I don't think you have a good assessment of what's good for this country and what's not. You want our borders.
Well, your assessment was based on just purely subjective what you want.
You want our borders to be closed. You don't want any
that would
immigrants.
be good for the country.
Okay,
right?
but
so countries that have
voting for Donald
borders,
Trump, but voting for Trump's good for the country. That's good for the country.
Given what he
starting ill-advised
given
wars
what he campaigned on, yes.
Yeah. So but he's not doing that. Who cares what this guy says?
That's irrelevant to what you calling me out for debate for voting for what he campaiged.
You want good people in
You're
this
trying
country.
to associate me with a bad guy again, which
is because you support him and you voted for him. You have no problem supporting a felon
with his policies already.
What about his behavior? You want good people in this country. You don't want migrants coming in.
Politicians have crazy behavior all the way back.
Name me another politician that's ever been the president that's a 34 count felon that's a liable sexual abuser. Please give me one example, Jay.
Well, I don't know the number of felonies.
Because you couldn't find that. Because you couldn't find that. Name me Bill Clinton. I don't defend Bill Clinton. You can try the what about?
I mean, I'm not doing a what about. You asked me how would that be a what about to answer your question.
It was Bill Clinton a 34 count felon?
I didn't say he was.
So this is exactly why the Democrats did that to Trump. The sham of these trials and these convictions. They did that specifically so these TDS lefties could have their talking point of, oh, but he's a 34 count felon. No one in the history of the presidency are felons. Which, okay, yeah, because no one in the history has went after a former president in the same way the Democrats did just a few years ago. And that's exactly why they did that. So that way you could bring that up. And it's like, yeah, what argument is? Because, yeah, technically there aren't any other presidents that are felons because that's never happened before. No, not that no other presidents have done bad things. Every president has done something bad during their presidency, all of them. But none of them have been tried and convicted for it. So that's why they did that. That's exactly why. So Brian could go, aha, see? You can't bring up another example because Trump is that bad. Ha ha. That's exactly why they did it.
As I said, there is probably nobody with 34 counts or whatever.
Yeah, you voted for that guy.
Well, you asked me an absurd question to give a specific person who had 34 felons, which obviously there's not a person that would admit that. So.
With respect, I think it's absurd when you say you want our borders closed and you don't want any migrants coming here.
Yeah.
Why? Because
when I asked you for the other countries,
we were founded. I'm telling you, we were founded by immigrants.
But not with open borders.
Loved about this.
So you're going to go back to the founding. Does the founding allow for open borders?
No, I'm giving you my full explanation.
Okay.
We were my personal opinion is that
so it's relative.
It's the land of opportunity, and I believe that if you're vetted and you're not a criminal, we should give everybody the opportunity to succeed in this country. You go through the process of becoming a legal citizen. There are a ton of immigrants that have come to this country that have done so many great things for this
Yeah, but
nation.
that has nothing to do with what I was arguing.
Well, I mean, you just want the borders to be completely closed, which I think is absurd.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
But the countries that do that seem to do
I
well.
just disagree with you. I just think that, and again, you might not like the comparison I'm making here, but I think it's important. You seem to have a concern and you think it's bad for the country to have immigrants coming here.
No, infinity immigrants.
Yeah. Well, again, I think maybe there needs to be something put in place, but you've made the case that you don't want immigrants here at all. You want to close the borders completely, right?
It's not needed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of things that you might think is not needed, but how does that affect you negatively?
But see, Brian can't contend with that because Jay says it's not needed, which is true. It's not needed. Why would it be needed? In order to counter that, Brian would have to explain why is it needed that we need to bring immigrants here. He wouldn't be able to explain it, at least in a good way anyway. So that's why he can't answer that directly. Thank you very much, Postal Joe, for the 10. I think I have this right. All 34 felonies are the same and could have been just one felony. There were 34 checks written to Stormy Daniels. Am I wrong about that? Yeah, no, seriously. Yeah. Thank you very much, Postal Joe, for the $10. Very, very much appreciated.
If immigrants are coming,
I'm not arguing for what affects me personally. I'm just arguing.
How is it bad for America?
The country in general,
How?
and countries that have homogenous population.
But yeah, this is all due to just Brian's feelings. That's all this is. By the way, 432 people watching YouTube right now. Thank you very much for everybody that's here. While you're here, make sure you like that, give that like button a click, and subscribe to my channel if you're enjoying. That'll help me a lot.
That keep to their traditions and their heritage seem to flourish and function better than those that are demographically changed. Hence why I was referring back to the older strategies of the War College and others that have written about how to do demographic replacement, which is a form of warfare.
You think immigrants, all undocumented immigrants that are in this country now, should all be deported?
Yes.
So people that have lived in this country for decades that have children here, how about anchor babies? Do you think they should be deported as well?
I would want the law to be changed on that. Yes. So
you think that if you're a 3 or a 4-year-old child that was born in this country, they should be deported?
Unfortunately, yeah.
You do. Okay. Well, I think that's extremely harsh, and I disagree with you. By the way, if you're seeking asylum from a country, from Mexico, for example, and you're going about it the right way and you filled out the right paperwork, it is illegal for the Trump administration to deport you. Do you understand that they're doing that right now? It is against the law, and they're going against what our Constitution says. It's happening right now as we speak. You have ICE agents outside of courtrooms when they have filled out the proper paperwork.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think these are your.
Yeah, Mr. Hongwei Lo. We don't care what you think, Brian. Yeah, I think it's like more people debating Brian should just start saying it like, yeah, I don't care what you think, Brian. Like, I don't care. What do you say about that? That would defeat a lot of his arguments, because a lot of his arguments is just, I think this, I feel this, I think that. And so if you just say, I don't care what you think, Brian, like, tell me why it's wrong. That doesn't have to do with your feelings. I think it would be an instant defeater, because most, if not all of his arguments are just that, I feel, I think.
Focusing on minutia of bad situations that happen to individuals in masses of tens of millions of people, when the overall net negative for the country is more important than the minutia. And one person is a news story, but the statistics of millions of people get forgotten. So it's more important for the long-term benefit of the country in general than to highlight, as the left often does. I'm not saying you're a leftist, but they highlight specific cases to do emotional appeals. And so, like you've done in this debate, it's a lot of emotional appeals, which are also a fallacy.
I don't think it's emotional to say that the president is ripping up parts of our Constitution and breaking the law.
Those are
breaking the law is an emotion.
Those are emotional appeals.
Does it say that we all have, what does it say in our Constitution? Does it say every citizen has the right to due process, or every person? What does it say?
Off the top of my head, I don't recall, but I would assume
kind of important.
I would assume it's citizens.
It does say every person. Yeah, that's true. I looked it up. It does say every person. So yeah, I don't think that's what the people intended, though. That doesn't mean that the intention of it was that we should, everyone that just steps onto our magic soil, automatically are entitled to these rights. But then again, I'm not an expert on the Constitution, but it does say persons. So score 1 for Brian, score 1 versus, I don't know, 1,000 for Jay.
No, you're wrong. In our Constitution, it says any person has the right to due process. This is really fundamentally important.
But they also didn't have the idea of infinity, open borders.
Okay.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Again, you use the term infinity, but you said you don't want any immigrants coming into the country. So that's different than infinity.
My solution to infinity is the closing of the borders.
Right. You want
That
the
was the
borders
answer.
closed, and
Right.
you don't want any immigrants coming in. And the point that I was trying to make is, if you care about our Constitution, which I hope you do, I do as well. It says in our Constitution, our forefathers, it says not any citizen has the right to due process. It says any person. And as much as
but
you
a person also can be a lawbreaker, and people that are here illegally
absolutely,
are
but
lawbreakers.
absolutely, but that doesn't mean they don't have the right to due process. That's what it says in our
Okay, but-
Constitution.
Well, yeah, I wouldn't have a problem trying to vet and do due process.
But they're not doing that, Jay.
Well, that's I'm sorry. I mean, I didn't.
That doesn't bother you?
I didn't defend that specifically. You
But
just
that's-
now asked me about that.
Okay, but you're saying that any child that is born
No,
in
I
this-
said specifically highlighting certain emotionally charged cases is neglecting the bigger problem. And that's what
Yeah.
the left tends to do in this topic, is highlight the emotional appeal topics about this child or that child, which is unfortunate, but it's not the big issue. The
I don't
big
think it's-
issue is
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yep, that's good. Jay, very smart. He put that in the best way like a better way than I ever could, which is, yes, like the Democrats will take, like the left will take these little incidences of mistakes being made or a child being harmed or something like that. And again, we could all agree that that's unfortunate. That sucks. That doesn't mean then, well, we should just overturn the deportations and just stop deporting people. But that's why the left hide behind these cases. So that way they could use against us and weaponize it against us to try to guilt us into changing our minds. Thank you very much, Anthony, for the $5. I just thought it was funny. I'm not here for word games. Is logic a word game? Yeah, exactly. Thank you very much, AJC, for the $5, brother. Very much appreciated.
Well, I'm saying in philosophy, an emotional appeal is where you cite a specific example and then you expand that to the totality and say that on the basis of how you feel about this specific example, you should sway your opinion. So the reason it's a fallacy is it's not actually based on the logic of the situation. It's based on what you feel. Like war propaganda does this, where they say, look at this child, he was killed in the war, therefore be against the war. Well,
I'm just talking about our Constitution and the law.
No, you weren't. You were talking
so
about
I was-
specific
no, I was
emotionally charged cases.
No, I was specifically
were.
talking about what it says in the
Well,
Constitution.
first you talked about the emotionally charged cases, then you asked me about the
I'm
Constitution.
asking you about, and I was responding to the law, which states if you are from certain countries like Mexico and you're seeking asylum and you come to this country and you fill out the proper paperwork and you're in the middle of that process and you show up in front of a judge, it is illegal for the Trump administration to deport you. And the point that I was trying to make is this isn't a one-off or a couple cases. Thousands of people have been deported in the middle of the paperwork process where in our own Constitution, it says they cannot deport you if you're seeking asylum from certain countries. It's against the law. That's not an emotional argument.
but
It's the
a few-
law that's
okay,
being broken.
Thousands of cases versus 10, 20, 30 million people that are here illegally in the last few decades. That, again, that's highlighting something that's not the main issue. So it's more important to save the country than to be overly concerned
I don't
about
think these
a few
people
cases.
are ruining the country, and our country needs to be.
See, I don't think. Oh, and is he going to say this country needs to be saved? Interesting. What, from voting for Donald Trump? So yeah, it's exactly what it's exactly what we think. Like they want of what the Democrats are doing. They want these people to come here so that way they vote their way. Brian wants more people here so that these people could vote his way and what he feels and anti-Donald Trump. Hey, thank you very much, Sir Deadman, for the $10 super sticker, brother. That's a pretty snazzy sticker, by the way. I like it. Can't see it on the screen, but I'm looking at it in the chat. It's pretty freaking cool. Thank you very much, Sir Deadman. Very much appreciated.
Saved. In fact, per
I
capita.
disagree.
Okay,
So,
well, do you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from an undocumented immigrant or an American citizen?
depends on where you are.
Okay,
Because
no,
if I
in
go
it-
to certain places where there
Okay,
are no,
there's going to be more
undocumented
crime in
migrants.
certain cities, but as a whole, and you could look this up, FBI statistics, you have a better chance of being the victim of a crime from an American
Mhm.
citizen than you do an undocumented immigrant. I think that's very important to note because a lot of people think that brown people and undocumented immigrants coming into this country are going to rape your kids and they're going to kidnap your wife. It's just not the case. There are examples.
Mhm.
There are examples of undocumented immigrants that do horrible things. I want those people deported. I don't want them here. But the overwhelming majority of these people that are coming into this country that are here already, many of them, that are undocumented, are not bad people with bad intentions.
How do you know? Oh, well, I forgot. Brian's a mind reader. He knows people's intentions. So sorry, my bad. I forgot. Brian Shapiro can read all minds. He's like Professor X. He sits there and he puts on his newscap Cerebro hat, and he's sitting there and he can see all of our minds. That's how he knows Alex Jones is bad, Donald Trump is bad, and every single, or at least the majority of the illegal immigrants that comes in they're good people and they're not bad. All right. His newsboy Cap Cerebro. Count Emmett. Funny how you got 400 viewers and he had around 200. Guess being a super radio host really does not matter. Yeah, I know, right? Look at me. I've been only a YouTuber for about a year. He's been a radio show host for 20 years. And yes, yesterday on his live of this, he only got like 200 something viewers, where I have currently 445 viewers. Thank you very much, everybody. That's the power of the Cooliverse right there.
Want bad people thrown
That
out
may
of
be
this country.
true, but it's still illegal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's against the law.
Yeah.
Professor S.
So you think so? Your opinion is if you break the law, there should be consequences. Is that a
Sure.
fair assessment?
Sure.
What are the consequences for Donald Trump, the man who you support? You're laughing, but
Well, I mean, because you're trying to pay me as if I'm some sort of like,
Well, no,
I
do you
support
think-
every single policy. of
this
Donald
isn't
Trump.
about policy. This is about
No,
consequences.
well,
if you break the law.
changing between when I told you I was an issues person, you say I'm a Trump apologist, which
Did-
you admitted earlier.
I did not
wasn't.
say you're a Trump
You
apologist.
said the man that you support. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, on specific issues.
Okay, but you
I'm an
voted for him.
issues person.
Okay, so let's talk about this.
And
Let's
I
forget,
already agreed that
let's
I
forget,
just
let's forget
you
about the
just keep-
fact that
but
you
keep
voted
bringing
for
up
him
the stuff that we've
because
already
it's
settled.
hypocrisy. You want people held to the
Well-
highest. Hold on, I'll explain
Okay.
to you what I mean. And I'm not. I don't think you're a Trump apologist. I don't think you are. Based on the 20 minutes I've known you, I don't think you are.
Stupid Brian, dude. Keith for the $2. Yes, the centrist illegals that voted third party. Yeah, exactly right. Thank you very much, Keith, for the two. Very much appreciated.
But you want people to be held to account.
Mhm.
If it's somebody, by the way, it's a misdemeanor if you come into this country illegally. It's not even a felony. But you want people to held to the highest extent of the law. In this case, a misdemeanor. Okay, fine.
I believe for the
Okay.
maintenance and safety and health
Okay.
of the country, because
All
I think the country will collapse.
Do you agree with me? I disagree with that, but do you agree with me that we should have that same standard held to the highest people in power, including Donald Trump?
Yeah, I think nobody should be immune to or above the law. Sure.
Do you think that standard has held up when it comes to Donald Trump and the 34 count felonies that he was found guilty of, or the Jack Smith case, January 6th? Let me ask you another question since we're talking about the law.
January 6th.
Do you think
Another
January
bingo
6th
card.
happens if Donald
Another
Trump
bingo
doesn't lie
card.
about the 2020 election?
So there's another one for the Brian Shapiro bingo card. January 6th. That's another one that always pops up. But January 6th, the most tragic day in the history of this country. Roger Baker for $5. Due process isn't like seen in Law and Order. Someone needs to ask him what due process they aren't getting. Yeah, that's a good question. Thank you very much, Roger Baker. Very much appreciated. Only 5 away from completing a second super chat goal. Let's go, everybody. That's the power of the Cooliverse.
Would January 6th have happened?
Yeah, if Donald Trump didn't lie, which clearly it was a lie. I don't care what Alex Jones
Clearly.
says.
Clearly it was a lie. Again, Professor B or Professor S, whatever you want to call him, he knows the intention. He knew that Donald Trump was lying. He could read minds.
If Donald Trump didn't lie about the 2020 election because he didn't win, does January 6th happen?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
No.
All right, hypothetically speaking,
Well,
Jay,
you asked me a lot of questions.
No, hold on.
I want to
can I just touch on this real quick?
Sure,
'Cause
but I
this
want to
is
do some
important.
interrogation as well.
Fair
because
enough.
You've asked me a million questions.
You can
This
ask
is
me.
fine. Go ahead.
You can ask me anything you like, Jay.
Last question, Brian. Last question.
Well, to this issue,
Uh-huh.
you're telling me that if Donald Trump did what every other president did in American history, which was concede, which he didn't do, you think January 6th still happens and people are trying to overthrow a free and fair election? You can't answer that question? You don't know?
No, it's just an argument from silence. I don't know what would have happened had this major event not occurred. So if
he conceded and did what every other president did, you still think January 6th happens and they storm the Capitol and they're
I'm saying I
hang
don't
Mike
know
Pence?
what would have happened.
Okay.
Maybe it's
Does
less,
it happen?
Maybe it's less likely.
Who won the 2020 election free and fair?
I believe there was manipulation, but I think most elections are manipulated.
Okay. Who won the election free and fair? Did Joe Biden win a free and fair election?
No.
Is there any evidence of widespread voter fraud that you can share with us today?
This is my opinion. I don't spend a whole lot of time focusing on voter fraud or voter election issues because I'm not really into day-to-day politics. But studying the history of the CIA, the way it works, I think that they can easily tap into their techniques for regime change and throwing elections.
Did Donald Trump win the 2000?
in dozens of
Did
countries.
Donald Trump win the 2024 election free and fair then, or would you hold that same standard and maybe Kamala won?
No, I think that Trump had overwhelming popular
Gotcha.
support.
So it's only free and fair if Donald Trump wins.
I just gave you my opinion
well,
on 2020.
based on what though? There's no evidence of widespread voter fraud. He had chances in
I
a
gave you my
courtroom.
opinion on how the CIA rigs elections.
Let's
Okay,
let
but
That's all that I
Never
let's
been
let
proven
Jay
in a
ask.
court of law. But go ahead.
And by the way, Jay admits his opinion right there. What was I going to say? Someone Shared it a little while ago. Oh yeah, like let's see, Trump went to prison for how long for January 6th again? Yeah, exactly. You know, out of those 34 felonies that Brian always likes to bring up, not one of them was for committing an insurrection. Not one of them. And even the January 6ers that were arrested and put in jail, none of them were put in jail for committing an insurrection. So it's crazy that they still go with this insurrection lie.
So a lot of what you've argued, you keep saying my opinion, my opinion, my opinion. I'm just curious, like where
Nice.
on what basis ought we go with your opinion?
On what? Which opinion?
Every topic tonight has come back to you.
All of them.
specific.
We'll be specific
Personal
on
opinion.
what topic.
In
and then I'll
general,
answer.
on what basis ought we to choose your opinions?
Well, first of
Why?
all, it's not an opinion
But you said
that the Trump
like 20
administration is breaking the law.
No.
I've already clearly
Why
stated
ought we?
that.
No. Why ought we do this or that for the country? For example, you said that we ought to have certain types of immigration that's legal, and this and that. And I'm saying you said this was my opinion.
This might be where the lion just stops playing with the lions just stops playing with their food and goes in for the kill.
In my opinion. I'm saying why ought we do that? Because you didn't apply those things to other places like Japan. So why ought we only go with your assessment?
Well,
of what's
first of all, the United
what's
States of
good for
America is not Japan. Number two,
So why ought we
I
choose
care
that
about-
for here?
well, because I care about the country that I live
So
in,
the
and I'm more
ethics-
concerned about the
so
United
are
States,
the-
the country that I live
Are
in.
the ethics relative or are they universal? It's the question.
As I've said, I wish that every government across the
Mhm.
world shared the belief of we are going to vet you
So
properly.
we ought to follow your ethics because you wish it was the case.
No, I just don't care what the color of your skin is or where you're from. If you're a decent person, I welcome you in my country.
So
I think
why-
that's a pretty fair,
Why
logical
ought we
opinion.
follow your position? Because it's logical.
Why ought we follow not being a racist? Because that's kind of what I'm
Well,
following.
why is that
here.
wrong?
I think if you don't want anybody from any other country, which is
Mhm.
what you have said,
Right.
you want our borders
Right.
completely shut down.
Yeah.
I believe that is un-American.
Okay.
Okay. The beauty of this country
It's
is
all
that
it's
we
still
have the freedom.
see, but even though Jay is asking him, okay, well, why ought we do these things? Brian's going back to, well, I think and I feel, and it's my opinion. It's all opinions and feelings with Brian still. That's all this guy is. He's just a bundle of opinions and feelings and emotions with the little newsboy hat on top. That's all he is. Taco for the $5. Bingo. What do I win? Your very own Brian Shapiro newsboy cap. Thank you very much, Taco. And congratulations on getting bingo on your Brian Shapiro bingo card.
And others have the freedom to make something of themselves
So is
wherever
that-
they come
should
from.
that
And I
be-
think that's a beautiful thing about the United States.
Okay.
I can't speak for Japan.
Why ought we follow that though? Because you like it. You think it's beautiful.
Why?
Yeah.
This country was founded on that. Our freedoms.
I mean, many
And-
countries are founded on
Yeah,
all kinds
yeah.
of things that are stupid. So
Well,
why
your,
that?
your reasoning is the country is going to go down the crapper if we.
That's a
if,
tu quoque. That's
I mean,
a what
that's,
about?
that's your reasoning behind it. And I
Okay, so fine. My reasoning's dumb, but I want to know why we have to
I
follow
didn't say
your
it
reason.
was dumb.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, this is where Jay's like, all right, I've had enough. I've had enough playing with my food. It's time to go in for the kill.
Miss-
See, but it
misguided.
is. Okay, why ought we follow yours?
Because we have been following it for decades, and I think we're the best country in the world for a very, very long
That's
time.
a circular argument. So
No,
we
it's
ought
not
to
a
follow it
circular.
because we've been following it.
We
Why
ought to follow
ought?
it because I do believe
So
as
there's
a whole, immigrants have a lot of benefits to the United States of America.
But you're not telling me why we ought to follow that.
Well, produce, jobs that immigrants take that most Americans are not willing to take, working for wages that and Americans, they help the economy. There's no question that it
Well,
helps the
But
economy.
why are those things
The
good?
boost.
So in other words, you're assuming that there's this good that you have access to. That's
Sure.
the basis for
Different cultures,
what's
I
the
think,
good?
is good. I think learning different cultures,
Mhm.
and I think what's made America great is being for lack of a better term, a mix of different colors in the crayon box and being diverse. I think diversity is a good thing.
Of course.
And I don't. I
So
certainly,
there's a standard of the good, which originally was what you said was your opinion, and you think that it works and this and
Do
that. So,
brown
but what's
people-
the standard?
do brown people scare you?
So now you're asking questions when I.
Well, yeah,
asked
because I don't
interrogate you.
understand your life.
Thank you very much, Taco, for gifting one Cool Vic membership. And congratulations to Jan Jates on becoming an official citizen of the Coolverse. Let's go. I am not for closing down immigration into the Coolverse as long as you do it the right way. Thank you very much, Taco. Very much appreciated.
Logic to this. You've
So
said
you're
America is going to
you're
go down.
You're deflecting away from the fact that your positions
I'm
are
not
subjective.
I'm not deflecting.
Are they
against
relative?
anything.
Are they subjective opinions?
Not based on crime and statistics and the benefits that
No.
the economy has
The morals,
towards
the ethics. Are they subjective?
Yeah, but I was talking about the
My
economy and
question
numbers.
is the ethics, not the numbers.
What about the ethics?
Is your ethics subjective? and
Uh-oh,
relative, or is
ethics.
it objective?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I think there are people out there that could disagree with me that are maybe don't like brown people. I think there are people out there that have different opinions that think that brown people are
No, I'm not
terrible
asking,
to the
do
country.
people have
Yeah,
those opinions?
I guess you could make
So
the
I
case.
guess you're not interested.
I guess you could make the case it's subjective. I guess you can make that case.
Okay.
I mean, some people could say the Klan isn't racist. I guess that's subjective too. You could make the
That's
case.
not what subjective
You could
means,
make the
but
case. I know what subjective means.
What does it mean?
I know what it means.
What does it
I
mean?
understand what it means.
What does it
and
mean?
this is Sean.
I'm
this
not
is-
sure that you do. So in terms of relativism
Yeah,
and
okay.
epistemology and ethics,
So
what is
this
that?
is-
What do you think that
This
means?
is okay. I'll answer your question, but this is the Andrew Wilson approach.
Well, I've been doing this debate for 25 years.
I know,
so-
and you can be doing it for 100 years. It doesn't mean anything. It means dick. Okay, so let's continue
So
the
we
conversation.
don't-
Yes, this is amazing. This has just gotten good. Hell yeah. Sir Deadman for one gifted Cool Vic membership. Thank you very much, brother. And congratulations to Gremlin TV. Hell yeah, Gremlin TV. Welcome to the Coolverse. Thank you very much, Sir Deadman. Very much appreciated. Let's continue with this slaughter here.
have to have a basis for ethics.
No. This is a word game that you're trying to play with me.
So
I've
all
done this with
philosophy-
Andrew
All
Wilson.
philosophy and ethics
Okay.
are word games.
You can say all racism is word games too. The point that I'm
I'm
trying
asking
to
for the good, and you're saying it's a word game.
Okay,
So your
so
position is based on word
I've
games?
told you, you're not listening. First of all, it's a benefit to the economy.
Well, why is that a
could
good?
show
That's
you
begging the question. What's the good?
why is it a benefit that people
No,
help
yeah.
our economy?
You have a reference to the good in all of these assertions, and I'm asking you, what is this good? Because you just keep saying, then you admitted that it's subjective and it's relative. Well, in that case, then there's no reason to prefer it or proffer that on anyone else.
Well, I would ask you the same question. Why is it bad
Well,
for
I
the
don't
country?
believe in subjective ethics.
Okay. Well, why is it bad for the country? Why are immigrants bad for the United States of America?
Well,
Why do you want to
again,
close
I
the
already
borders?
argued that because a massive influx of other people that are not indigenous to this population replaces its demographic.
Don't we
warfare.
have a First Amendment right
It's
to believe in what we
demographic
believe in?
warfare.
So you want to take the First Amendment
Well, if
right
you
away
want
from
to say that
people?
your ethics comes from the Constitution, that's fine.
You
but-
want to take? I'm asking you though. People that are in this country that are not from America.
Uh-huh.
You don't believe they should have a First Amendment right to believe something differently than you when it comes to religion or beliefs or
you misunderstood the question. So the question wasn't, are there people who have different positions or do
Yeah.
they have a right to different positions? The question was, what's the epistemic basis you have for your ethics, which was purely subjective?
yeah.
Okay, well then debate's over.
I mean, you
So
know,
if it's purely
I think
subjective, then
it's
in
not-
a debate, then you
but,
conceded.
but no, I've not conceded anything. What I'm trying to tell you.
Yes, take that. Take that, you little turd.
Is that when it comes to immigrants that are in this country, and
But
I'm
your
talking
ethics
about,
is relative.
I'm talking about legal immigrants. I can give you statistics that show you that it benefits
But you
the
haven't told me why we
economy.
ought to follow your position.
I'm telling you because you don't want
No,
our
but-
economy to be boosted.
You don't understand.
don't-
The question is about why ought we follow it, not just to restate what the position is.
Why ought we follow it?
Because it's relative.
Why should we?
Because you've already said it's
why should-
relative and subjective.
Why should we not close our borders? And why does Brian believe that we should allow people from other countries in? As I've told you before, and I'll tell you again.
So again, it's a higher level order of questioning that's about the basis for the ethics, not to restate your position again, but why ought we follow your position when you then admitted that your position is relative and
Well,
subjective?
I've told you that I don't think immigrants coming into this country as a whole are bad for
I
the
don't
United
think-
States of America. I've stated my position there.
Which is based on the good, but we don't know what the good is.
Well, I've told you already.
Which
It's a
is-
benefit to our economy. I believe
But
diversity.
that's just restating your position.
well,
So
yeah.
why ought we? So you're saying what is the case? This is the case. This is the case. But why ought we follow your subjective relativistic argument? Because when you come to debate and you admit that it's relative,
yeah.
then there's no reason to follow it.
Well, listen, you come from the cloth of you want our borders to be completely closed, and we can play word games.
It's
The
not
reason
word
why
games.
you are, and the reason
No,
why
relativism is
the reason why I disagree with you, instead of getting into a philosophical debate, which I'm not here to do, I'm telling you that in my personal opinion, it's my opinion, I don't have a problem with anybody from other parts of the world, from different cultures and different backgrounds and different religions coming into this country, so long as they're properly vetted and we know they're not criminals and they have good intentions. I don't think that's a threat to the United States of America. Now you do. You think it's bad for America. You think it's a threat to America. I disagree with you. I've given you multiple reasons why. First of all, a lot of these people are good for our economy. They're hard workers. They want a better life for themselves. I think diversity is a good thing. I don't want everybody to look like you and me. I think diversity is good for the country. Now, you can say, well, that's just your opinion and you're not basing it on anything.
It is.
Well, you can base it on the crime rates. You can base it on how it benefits our economy, the financial numbers. There are a lot of different ways. Why should we follow you?
All of those things are assertions about what are the case.
Well, tell me, why should we follow you? Why should we follow you? I've answered your question. You might not like my answer. Why should we follow you, and why should we close the borders completely?
If the ethics that you prefer are relative and subjective, then in a debate, that means that anyone can just state the exact opposite, and it's just as legitimate as your position.
To me, this isn't about winning a debate. This isn't about.
I'm just
this is
saying
no.
it is a debate. I mean, we agreed to a debate.
Okay, but to me, when I come to a conversation, it's not about playing word games. It's not about talking about philosophy.
Well, why would you think it's a word game?
Hold on.
I don't understand.
Hold on. Because that's what we're doing now. I want you to explain to me why it's so bad.
Jay's laughing.
So you just
now.
don't want to get drilled into your position to give the basis for
It's
it.
not about me being afraid of anything.
Well, then
I
why
want to
you saying
know.
it's a word game?
I want to know why.
Your position is based on the good.
I
and
gave
then when we
you-
get to the good, it's just
I
like
gave you-
relative, bro.
I gave you my.
It's just like your position, man.
I
It's
gave
like
you.
the dude.
I gave you my reasons why.
Yes. This is what we paid for. Thank you very much, Jay. This is what I've been looking forward to.
I think immigrants coming into this country as a whole
Well, that's
is
just
not
like
bad.
your opinion, man.
I'm telling you, well, yeah, that's what this entire thing is about. It's about opinions.
But that's
right?
not what I'm
But
arguing. no.
okay, well, you can have a different way of talking to people, and you have that right to do that. But I don't play that game. So I'm asking you, why? Why do you want the borders closed, and why do you think immigrants all over the world are so bad for America? Tell me why.
I argued and explained
Tell
that
me
earlier
why.
that the demographic replacement of a people group is a form of genocide and warfare. So just
So
like
immigrants
I
coming in-
would no, I said mass amounts of infinity immigrants, not legalized immigrants, and not reasonable, sensible numbers of people. Sure, that makes sense.
But that's not what you said earlier. You want the borders closed.
I hope Brian doesn't try to. I hope he's not turning it around back on Jay. Nuh-uh. Keith, thank you very much for the $2. He almost did the J. Yeah, he was this close. Thank you very much, Airborne Animal, for the $5. Brian is literally a word salad shooter. Yes, I completely agree with that. Probably even worse than Kamala Harris. Thank you very much, Airborne Animal, for the $5. Hell yeah, only 2 more to go to complete that super chat goal for the second time.
You don't want any
No,
immigrants
I'm
coming
saying
in.
now that's the case. I think
So
that's,
right
that's
now-
the wise decision
Okay,
now.
so right now you think it'd be a wise decision to not
Yeah.
allow anybody from other
Yeah,
countries
that's restating
to
what I just
come
said
into
10
this
times.
country
That's correct.
legally,
Mhm.
because you think there would be genocide?
No, I said that bringing in infinity amounts of people is a form of genocide. It's demographic replacement.
That's only Brian is a chubby chaser. He only asks chubby guys to take their shirts off. All right. So Rob, Gary, the numbers guy, Jay is not thick enough for Brian, unfortunately. Thank you very much, Justin Martins, for the $5. This is fun. Hell yeah, it's fun. Glad you guys are having a blast. I am too. Thank you all 460 of you in YouTube for joining me today. Very much appreciated for the $5, brother.
And that's what I disagree with.
So
That's why I would say that the present policy would be wise to completely end immigration at this stage.
So people that are on student visas, would you be against that as well? People,
I'm talking about the masses of people. And so, yes, all of it. I mean, a lot of the, for example, Chinese foreign exchange students, a lot of those people are spies anyway. So,
Mhm.
yes,
so
all of it.
didn't Trump say he wanted to bring in 600,000 Chinese because we
I
didn't
think
have
that
enough
was a
talented
mistake because
people?
in his first administration, he said,
I want to cut off these Chinese students. A lot of these people are Chinese spies. Probably not wise to do.
All right. So
So,
I guess
again, I disagree with Trump reversing on that. That's, by the way, that's another one I disagree with.
Okay.
Let's wrap up immigration.
Okay.
You
Yeah,
wanna
I
close
really
up?
don't know what else to say. Obviously, I disagree with him. Obviously, I want people to be vetted properly. I think there's a lot of good people all over the world that make America great. I have a lot of friends that come from other countries, wonderful people. I have friends that are from the faith of Islam. I don't come from the cloth of judging somebody by where they're from. I judge them on their character. I think Alex Jones is just as much of a threat to the United States of America. I think Donald Trump is just as much of a threat to the United States of America than the overwhelming majority of immigrants that come to this country. You ask me, I think we should deport Alex Jones. I think we should deport your buddy to
Deport
Gaza.
Alex
I think
Jones.
Alex Jones is a piece of shit. I think we should deport Donald Trump to Gaza. I think he's a piece of shit. These are people that you surround yourself with. This is people that you vote for. I think those people are far more dangerous to the United States of America than a lot of the people that you're talking about that you don't want here. That's my personal opinion. I think there are bigger threats in the United States of America, people that look like you, than anybody that looks brown that comes into this country. You know,
But
hopefully.
racism was wrong.
What's that?
Racism was wrong, right?
Yeah. How am I being racist?
Well, you just divided up your assessments
Yeah.
on the basis of
Yeah,
race.
because you are very concerned
But
that people.
racism is wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Racism is wrong.
But
I have
you're
no problem with
doing-
white
you're
people.
doing a racism right now.
No, I'm not. I'm doing orange.
You're doing a
people. I don't
racism.
care what the color of
Orange
skin Donald
people?
Trump
Well,
is
you
or
said
Alex
my
Jones is.
people.
Yeah, because you seem to be having a problem with people that come from other backgrounds
So
and
now
look
you're doing a
differently than you.
racism.
I think that there are people, all sorts of people of different colors.
But racism is also subjective, or is it morally wrong?
In general, racism is terrible. It's wrong. It's
For
horrible.
Everybody?
Anybody who's a racist.
So now you're not a relativist, a subjectivist.
When did I ever say that it's okay to be racist?
No,
It's another word game.
No.
What are you
Either
saying?
so
The
either
word
something
games.
is relative or it's objective.
Like, oh, it's like that other guy, like Andrew Wilson, with your magical spells you'll cast in. Brian Shapiro, what's with your word games? What's with these magical word games? You keep trying to use me, this voodoo. All right, I got my newsboy cap, Cerebron. All right, you can't get me with your word games, Jay. These pesky words. Ugh. I'm just about speaking about Orange Man, Jay, and you keep trying to bring up your fancy words. All right, like logic and racism and all this shit. Ugh. Fallacies, fallacy. Come on, Jay.
And now racism is objectively morally wrong everywhere, but your ethics was relativist and subjectivist. So you just
I've been
contradicted
very, very
yourself.
clear, and I'll make it very, very simple for you. Racism.
It's like these people that Jay and Andrew like debate, like they really think they're casting these like voodoo spells on them. Like Andrew Wilson with his magical spells and the magical word per capita, and then you got Brian Shapiro here. Oh, your word games, your magical word games. How are you doing this? How are you getting me down into these word games? No. Just because they're demanding that they have actual like thoughts past their the surface level thinking that they're displaying
Is wrong.
On what basis? And that was subjective.
On any basis.
No. What is your basis?
When you judge people
okay,
based on
Fine.
their skin color, when you judge people and treat them
is
differently.
that universally morally wrong?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, but now you're not a relativist or subjectivist. Now you're believing in moral universal claims, which you said isn't really
The
possible.
point that I was trying to make, Jay. Which
So
I
it's a
think wasn't-
contradiction.
No, it's not a contradiction. The point that I
So
was.
is it subjective or is it objective?
I'm going to give you the easy background.
Is
to
it
why
subjective or objective?
I'm going to answer you, but I'm going to give it to you. in
Well,
the
you're going to
answer.
yap to get around the question
No, I'm
because
not
either
gonna-
it is.
No, you
Because earlier your
no.
ethics were subjective and now they're universal.
Okay, so
You can't have both
it is
ways.
my opinion that when you
So
treat
it's not
somebody-
universal. So it's not
Um,
universal. So you just
It's
contradict.
just Brian's
so
opinion
It's not
again.
a contradiction what I'm about to say.
It's
These-
universal. It's not universal. That's a contradiction.
What's your definition of what racism
That's
is?
a what about?
Do you think it's
That's a
universal?
both way.
Wait, is it universal? What's
I don't.
racism?
I mean, I don't know even what racism is technically.
You
So
don't know
define
what
it.
racism is. Is that a serious statement?
It is a serious
You
statement,
expect me to
because
treat
when
you-
people define it, it gets defined in a million different ways. And
You
for
can't
example,
define
in your,
what you
well,
can't
your
define-
situation, you just did a racism
Hold on,
to
hold on,
me.
No, I didn't.
I'm a BIPOC person.
No.
So
I see that.
I'm
I-
a black
I'm a
indigenous
BIPOC.
person of
I'm sure you
color.
are.
Oh, and not so erudite says Jay isn't fucking funny. She doesn't know what funny is. By the way, Keith, thank you very much for the $2. Brian thinks he's smart. We know he's tarded. Yes, we absolutely do. By the way, thank you very much, guys, for completing a second super chat goal.
Everybody, we just crossed it, $10,000. Our super chat goal is officially smashed. Woo! You made this happen. Every single one of you in the chat, every name that popped up on that board.
Hell yeah. Thank you very much, guys. By the way, I'm going to have to bring the stream to an end soon. So we're going to end this video for today, but I will continue this on Monday. All right. This will continue on Monday. What did you guys think of this debate so far? This was absolutely brutal. Just what I was hoping for, just what I was expecting. Someone to finally show that Ginger showed Brian Shapiro something, because it's all about his feelings. He just brings people on, lectures them about Donald Trump. How could you hang with this person? How could you be friends with that person? How could you vote for this person? This goes against all of my subjective morality and my opinions and my feelings. Jay correctly bringing up, oh, okay, so then it's subjective with you. It's just about how you feel. No, absolutely showing Brian Shapiro for the joke that he is. But what did you guys think about this? Sound off in the comment section below. Make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. And I got more Jay Dyer and Brian Shapiro that I think you'll enjoy. Thank you very much, Wicked Wally, for the $5. I now identify as a foundational Black American, and I'm very offended. Also, my credit score just dropped. Oh, oof, that's not good, Wicked Wally. Thank you very much for the $5, though. What time is it? 11:55. So I don't know if there's anyone rating right now, but Brian's show starts in 5 minutes. I don't know if I want to directly raid you to his channel because I don't want to be accused of brigading or harassment or something like that. So listen, you know what? Maybe I will just raid you guys over there. You guys could wait. Don't. Okay. I won't raid you to Brian. I won't. But wasn't expecting Jay's monotone to offset Brian's tedious outbursts. Yeah, I know, right? But for all you people here, make sure you give the like button a hit. Make sure you subscribe to my channel, by the way. Help me out a lot. Help the channel keep growing. Become a member if you haven't yet. Join the Discord. All the links are in the description. Same with my X. Follow me on X. Follow me on the Green Video platform. And follow me on Kick as well. Also, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Like I said, all of these links are down in the description down below. No. Yeah, okay. Fine. I won't raid you too, Brian Shapiro. But I'll be back on Monday, guys. No weekend shifts this weekend. I'll be back on Monday. Hope you guys all have a great and blessed rest of your day and great and blessed rest of your weekend. Thank you to everybody that super chatted today. You guys are real ones. Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And yeah, hail victors, and Christ is God. I'll see you guys on Monday. Take care. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, did you enjoy that video? I hope you did. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, or else you're gay. I'm sorry, I don't make the rules. I'm just trying to save you from sin. Also, make sure you catch the cool stream live Mondays through Fridays right here on my YouTube channel. And make sure you follow me at any of these links down below for everything Cool Vic.